empires with a partner, or you can die with a partner.
Welcome to another episode of the BluePrint podcast, where we deliver a blueprint to success in every single episode. Today, we have been blessed with a gentleman that has served our country and has tons and tons of experiences and stories to tell. The one, the only, Mr. Ben Ortiz.
Ortiz.
Ortiz?
Clear. Ortiz. That works.
You know, growing up, we were kept from the service pretty much. And my family were, I want to say we're about fourth generation. So my grandfather was Air Force, and I think his brother I believe his brother was like General Air Force, and their father was Air Force as well. And then my mom's oldest brother, which is like a father to me, he was a medic in Nam. Mm-hmm. And when he came back from his last deployment, he said he'd never get on another airplane. He never got on another airplane.
I can imagine.
And we heard zero stories.
Yeah.
And I'm pretty sure it's probably for good reason.
War is volatile, and the horrors of what you see there either makes a person shut down completely or makes them tell their story out of empathy, maybe sympathy, maybe out of validation.
Yeah.
They want somebody to hear the trauma that they have, but they don't know how to express it. You know, it's unfortunate that, you know, I only really learned about PTSD based off the Iraq War, and that's pretty sad. Comparing the amount of wars that we've been in, it's unthinkable that, you know, through all those generations of wars that we kind of just threw all that stuff under the rug. And now when we hear these stories, we're just either sensationalize them or we just kind of sweep them underneath the rug. And I think it's a bad disservice, not just for the government, but for the individuals that either signed up to defend the country or were forced to defend the country. And to hear their stories, if you don't get goosebumps hearing some stories of trauma, whatever your opinion is about why, you know, the military went to those things, to me, it's irrelevant because the true story is the individual that went there. To have the fear, you know, let's just say we're storming D-Day, to be on one of those boats, to go towards the shore, and hearing the sounds of gunfire and watching your friends and, friends and family, or, you know, whatever the scenario is, the people in front of you, you're watching it in front of you live, knowing that you're about, you know, like you're waiting in line to go to a roller coaster, right? You have all the emotions and like, oh, I'm scared. And then you're actually there. What are you going to do? It's just, and I hear a lot of guys just say it's just a blur. They don't even remember. It happened so fast once they got to that point that it's just then to think about those people and what they sacrificed there and then how they're treated back here. Well, we could talk about that for days and days and days because that's a very sad story.
Very.
Very sad.
That's right on line of what I was going to mention, because the treatment is completely radical. When the individual gets back, if we look at our homeless community that we are indulged in right now, and a lot of those individuals out there are veterans with mental struggles, mental injuries. And that's lightly said.
It's very lightly said, and I think the population forgets that veterans are humans. We're from the populace. We're from the environment. We're just like you. We're not robots that went into the military with no feelings and we're just able to handle everything.
Correct.
We're individuals just like everybody else. And anybody else that feels trauma, I would say for the most part, especially when you have a populace of men, and it's mostly men, right? I'd say 90% above.
Correct.
Wartime is men in the front lines, that men in general are not going to seek help. They're not going to say, hey, I'm not okay. Hey, I can't.
It's looked down upon.
It's looked down upon because we're men, right? We're like, hey, we're men. We need to.
You're just supposed to be able to.
Supposed to be able to do all this stuff.
Bullshit.
But the reality, and And, you know, when you're younger and when you're in your 20s, you're more impressionable, you're more stronger, you're more mentally resilient, and you can fend off these things. But when you're past your 20s and maybe you get in your 30s,
but you're almost groomed to do that.
40s, of course you are. You know, when I was in the military as a tank commander, we were trained to think that nobody could stop us. So you're automatically from day one thinking you're the biggest, baddest person out there.
There's always
But
a
that's
faster
what
car.
you want, because you're there to win, right? You don't want a force that goes over there thinking they're going to lose.
Of course.
Because you're going to lose.
Of course.
You're going to have a lot of trauma. You're going to have a lot of casualties. You're going to have a lot of people second guessing what's supposed to happen, right? Is to obey the orders of the commanders that are above you. If you have an army that doubts that or tries to push back of that, then you have a leadership that can't lead. You have a leadership that can't move things around in order to win a higher goal, I guess you'd say, or a higher mission.
Yeah.
People in the lower ends are just pawns, if you think about it.
Absolutely.
It's for whatever individual reason they join the military, you know. And when I was a recruiter in the Army, we always based it on if you were either joining the military for adventure or for money or for a lifestyle or for travel. I think those were the main selling points that we were trained on in recruiting school for recruits. And I think it's still the same.
Yeah.
You know, growing up in the South where I did, it was common. There wasn't much any job opportunity, right? You didn't have big companies in the South. You didn't have big tech companies. You didn't have manufacturing companies. You didn't have all that stuff in the South because they weren't enticed to be in those states, in those areas, one. And two, big companies typically will start a location based off the population and the education system of the population.
Very true.
So if I'm creating an engineering company, I'm not going to go and build my headquarters in a place that has no engineers or no successive engineers. I'm going to go to where all the engineers are.
Or even a smaller population as well.
Yeah, or even a smaller population. So that's what you see with a lot of Southern kids. That's one of their deals. And you see a lot of their family have military that way because they joined. That's because that's what they had.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much my story. Is when I graduated high school, that was it. It's, hey, what are you doing now? My parents didn't have money for college. There was no savings. There was no, hey, you should do this or you should do that. It was like,
Yeah.
what are you doing now? Well, I'm like, wow. Yeah, so the Army recruiter there was. My best friend at the time got me in, and he was a year older than I was. And
so this is straight out of high school?
Straight out of high school. It was like
a week later?
I wanted to be a music teacher. I wanted to be a band teacher. I wanted to play in a Philharmonic Orchestra. I mean, I had all these dreams. You know.
So that's where your passion was?
That was my passion at the time, was music, and I was very into music. And so you didn't have like the support system or the push or the guidance to. Exactly right. That's the most important thing for kids, I think, is if you don't have parents that are helping you, not necessarily financially, but mentally and motivationally, you're starting. Life is a competition, right? You're not guaranteed anything, and once you leave high school, you're thrown amongst the rest of the wolves in the world.
Boom!
It is literally that's the world.
There you go.
We're wolves and sheep. Period. You know, it's and that's just the nitty gritty of life. And if your parents don't at least help you understand that you're at the bottom of the bottom of the bottom when you leave high school, your competition is going to be soaring above,
or even prep you for that along the way. So when you exit high school, at least you're in the middle of the game.
At least, but so I mean, I can see where a lot of kids fail through the system because the start from the get-go. Whatever happened, and sometimes the parents can motivate you. You just lose your way, or you have some extra.
Of course.
Sometimes the parents are telling you the right way, but maybe your school counselor is telling you a way because to meet numbers or whatever. Or you have friends that are motivating you to, hey, we're going to go to art school in New York, or hey, we're going to go to acting school, and we're going to be doing this and this. And you're back of your brain going, the chances of me, or even if you think a kid playing in basketball or baseball or football in school, the chances of them to be at the collegiate top or less than 1%.
Yeah.
So I would always encourage people to look at many avenues in life. Don't just set yourself on one.
However, having that experience,
very important,
to at least have a shot.
Yes.
And to actually take a shot.
Yes. to take the shot.
To take
I
the
think
shot
that's
is
where you're saying the take the shot is the biggest thing, because
Right.
to have the courage
it's priceless.
to go out in the unknown, and that's life. It's unknown.
Of course.
And it's a lot of luck.
Yeah.
Yeah, that takes a lot of courage.
It takes a lot of courage.
So especially for boys that don't grow out with fathers, they don't have that understanding of courage.
Yeah.
You know, they have maybe false sense of courage.
Yeah.
It's just made up of, oh, here's all I see on social media. That's my courage, but it isn't really life courage, right? It isn't real.
That's in
it's
today's
fake.
society, but like in our society, we didn't have social media.
That. There was no such thing.
Yeah, so there wasn't nothing like that. The best thing that you would have a reference of is whatever was on TV, perhaps, maybe. Let's take a moment to thank our sponsor, Flash. Flash is an all-in-one business operations platform that has been adopted by multiple different industries across the United States and multiple different countries, allowing professionals to scale their business by buying back their time and solely focusing on the things that's important to their business. Not the small tasks. Let someone else handle those. If you don't have Flash, you're probably overworking and underproducing. Click the link below, improve your life, scale your business, and I'll see you on the other side. Do you think that people would have much more success if they had a father and a mother, or either or, but had that support and that push in their back, where the parent says, "Oh, you want to do music? Awesome. All right," and push you in your back. Go do it.
Well, something is better than nothing. I am a believer that parents aren't always right, and individually, our life is our life.
Okay.
I think parents have a very tough decision to make of whether they're going to support their child in what they think is right in a path that is correct versus what maybe the child is learning and what their path is developing into.
Yeah.
Because you never know what you're going to get into in life unless there's
both will be learning.
in front of you, right? You're never going to know. Like even in our generation, we didn't know opportunities in life. Networking was very important to get out and do things, even just as it is today.
Correct.
But social media kind of gives us a picture in a window 24 hours a day of what there is. But in our generation, we didn't know that. We only knew what was based on TV.
Correct.
It was based on the news, and that's why news was more popular, I guess, and more to heart, that we trusted the news more in our generation because that was their source of information. Now, anybody and everybody with a microphone or a camera or a cell phone is a news person, right? All you got to do is just open it up, and here's the world in front of me. And take what you want out of it, But in our generation, it wasn't like that. You had to go experience it and learn the mistakes. Now you can watch everybody else's mistakes and then kind of base your luck on that, right? And who you know, and maybe, hey, in our generation, you had to figure out who to connect with, and it took you a while to find that person. Now, it's instantaneous. You want to know a CEO of a company? I can open my phone right now and tell you the CEO of any business out there. It's that easy.
Just that easy.
That easy. Their secretaries, their assistants, their production staff, anybody you want to find. You can find anybody on the interweb right
Instantly.
So there's a big difference. There isn't a right or wrong, unfortunately. It's your job as a parent is to ensure or hope that your child makes it in life.
So
that's pretty much it is.
So with that being said, it's in the same line of the child and the parent could potentially be learning at the same exact time. However, the parent with a little bit more wisdom, a little bit more experience can help navigate that child's passions.
True, depending on the parent, right, and their skills. Yeah, it's 100% possible. Right. So if I was a movie producer, right, and I have all these skills in movie production and all these connections, then sure, it's extremely easy to organically grow my child into that industry, right?
Okay.
But if I had a child if I wasn't a movie exec, maybe I was just a carpenter, but my child wanted to be a movie exec, how could I give that child advice to be a movie exec? And I know nothing about the industry. All I know is carpentry.
But you know how to network. You know how to connect.
Maybe. Or I understand, or I can impart on my child the nuances of hard work and dedication in construction, the physical labor of construction. I can impart that amount of wisdom and urgency in my child and say, hey, look, swinging hammers is hard work. Do you want to swing hammers or you want to do this? Both are hard work, either mentally or physically.
Yeah.
It's which one are you going to be more comfortable with? Some people.
Or you can even help them even deeper than that, right? You can say, or you can display, okay, if that's what you want to do, this is the path, and don't give up until you reach milestones. And then teaching them milestones and I would say like short-term wins, right?
True. Short-term wins are good, but what it all boils down to is happiness, because we can change jobs, we can change careers. I wanted to be a band teacher when I was in high school. Right now, I would never think about being a band teacher. I grew way different than how I was when I was 18 years old. Your 18-year-old brain is completely different than a 40-year-old brain. There isn't any comparison in my.
It's very different.
It's very different. That comes with wisdom, right? And would I want to stifle my child to not experience all there is to experience to find their niche? No, I wouldn't want to do that. But would I want to push my child into something that I know is successful? Sure, I think all parents would want to do that. They want to ensure, right, have a peace of mind. My child succeeded. Look at my child. I'm good. I'm whole as a parent now.
Yeah.
I think it's such a tough balance. It's hard to. Life is so evolving through generations. And the variables out there to throw you off track or put you on a new track that you would have never discovered.
Yeah.
It's unlimited. So I think there's a difference, and I think happiness is more important, in my opinion, than trudging through something that you're not happy with.
So exactly on what you said right now, as far as for the happiness. And I think that we have had the opportunity, like in our lifetime, to see people and parents want to guide their kids and their children through something that they know is successful,
right.
One, and realizing that they pushed their children through or their child through, and they were able to have or find a level of success, but they're not fulfilled or happy. Right. And I think that we have entered, or we are probably entering, the space that individuals are learning to not push their kids into what they think the kids should do to be successful. However, find the creative way to make the child successful in what they are interested in.
Right. I look at parenting more of being a guide than anything. If I'm pushing my child to do something, then I'm doing a disservice to my child, because then they're going through life with blinders on. And I want my child to experience everything that I've experienced. Even though I've experienced a lot of things the hard way in life, and I'd expect my child to learn things the hard way to a certain aspect, I don't want to be the person opening doors. I want to be the person standing beside the door saying, hey, I brought you here. Here you go.
Go for it.
Which way do you want to go?
Absolutely.
And I encourage you to choose what makes you happy and what makes you think your life is going to be, because that's really what defines our happiness. People have different definitions, right? And I think the current generation, the mentality is rich, 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 rich. Money, 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 money. The only thing that's going to make me happy is if I'm a millionaire. And I think that is what's eroding society right now, is this fast lust to be rich.
Yeah.
And to me,
there's a lot of wealthy people that have killed themselves.
I grew up dirt poor, and I had no concept of what money is. I had none. It's just go outside and don't come home until the sun goes down. When the sun comes down, you come home, and that's dinner time. That's all I knew. I didn't need money to
go enjoy yourself. Yeah,
outdoors was my happiness. Just being out adventurous, riding bicycles with neighborhood friends, and
socializing, having fun, experiencing
face to face with people. That was happy. But I think people are more happy now because so much is so instantaneous. People are so caught up in gossip. People are so caught up in seeing other successes and failures and being able to criticize that instantly, right, and give their opinion on something. I think people are so caught up in that now that they're losing out on what really life is about, and that's enjoying yourself and your family and your own path and being comfortable in that. And I think that's going away, unfortunately.
One of the things that I have really tried to put a big emphasis on is to put my child in a position for him to make decisions. Mm-hmm. And so I really push on that. Right. And there's people that want to do something, and then they'll ponder on it, and they'll think about it and think about it and think about it for forever.
Right.
So one of the things that I really push on anything that he wants or anything he wants to do or anything he needs to do is make a decision.
Right.
And I put a little pressure on him. I'm like, make a decision. Come on, make a decision. Make a decision. Because I want him to gain the skill of making a decision fast, young. However, obviously, once he gets older, we can slow that up.
True.
and do a little bit more due diligence. But don't wait too long to make a decision.
Yeah, I think I try the same principle with my son, and the biggest thing that I'm teaching him, even at 2.5, is there's consequences to your actions, but don't be afraid of those consequences. And I think that's kind of my problem is when I was a kid is I didn't have anybody teaching me those consequences. I was always taught to be afraid of everything. Like, well, if you mess up, you're going to suffer. And so it taught me never to be entrepreneurial, right? It taught me to be adversive to anything that is not status quo, which is not what you want to be as an entrepreneur. You want to be the risk taker as an entrepreneur, right? Calculated as much as you can be, but
exactly,
you can't make it unless you're taking risks.
And
that's the key thing that I'm teaching my son is fail at something. Fail at something every day. That means you're learning. That means you're trying. If you're afraid to fail at something,
do it. Just do it.
Then you're always going to sit there and think analysis paralysis. You're always like, oh, if I fail, then I'm going to do this. If I fail, it's going to do this. If I fail, somebody's going to laugh at me. If I fail, I'll be judged. But that's what you want.
Yep.
That criticism and that feedback is exactly what you want.
That's all the character.
Because that's how every corporation is right now. They started out from the bottom, right? And then they built all the feedback, the negativity, the hey, you should do this instead of that. Well, they changed things, and now they're better. That's
the only way you can change things.
Because that's how you get bigger, and as you change things for the better of what your consumers are looking for.
Yeah.
They're looking for that change, and I think that's very, very, very important for kids to learn is to fail. It's not everything is a participation trophy. Not everything you're going to succeed at. There's so much wolves and sheep, man. Where there's so much competition out there that people, I mean, pick any industry. Like, think of bodybuilders, right? If you're in the gym all the time and you're pumping iron and you're doing these workouts and you're doing whatever and you think you're the biggest and baddest person, until you go to a gym across town and you see another guy in there that is 30 pounds bigger than you, and you're like, oh crap, all these gains for what? I'll never be big as that person. Now what am I doing, Now you just got shut down. But
you just got shut down,
that's part of life is you have to do what makes you happy.
We learned early, man. There's always a faster car.
Yep, always a faster car, always a bigger person, always a meaner person, always a smarter person.
Yep.
There's always something. We're in competition every day we wake up.
Enjoy what you're doing.
Yes, that's why I say
enjoy what you're
something
doing.
that makes you happy. Do happy stuff. Because everything else is a competition. A competition for some people can be very miserable. Competition for some other people can be very exciting.
Absolutely.
You have to find your stick.
That's very true.
It is true. We're all different. We're not the same. We're born to judge. Even the Bible tells you judging is not a bad thing. We're here to judge. And judging other people makes other people either better or makes them underperform.
Yeah.
Makes them fall into a crevice of where.
I mean, judging is only staying true to your own decision.
That's right. We judge every day. I'm sure the time you woke up this morning until now, you've judged probably 100 things.
Yeah.
You've made decisions in your brain that you judge things.
Oh, for sure,
Driving, what you wore, how you come into the office, how you open a door, how somebody looked at you or you looked at somebody else. You're constantly judging other. That's healthy.
Especially that person that was taking forever at the light.
Exactly right.
The light is green. What are you doing?
Back in my brain, I'm screaming like,
what are you doing?
All right.
No, out of my mouth I was screaming.
Right. Well,
no,
myself, I'm that way. My wife is with me. I'm cool as a cucumber, but in the back of my head, the demons they're getting me, right? They're getting.
Oh my goodness!
It's all perception of how you play life, man. And that's really this is perception.
So what is a synopsis of your background? Like you said, mom and dad in the house.
Sure. Couple of dads, I mean, I did the normal. There's no fantasy of life and growing up. You either grew up with parents that are great, or you grew up with parents that are crappy. And I grew up in
between,
on the lower end of that. So not so great of parenting, right? No guidance, no none of that stuff. Parents that had no No, they
So
had no vision themselves.
You-
They didn't care.
because this is interesting to me, and now that I'm a adult, like you know, and so at that age, that the experience that you're relating to right now, whether it was 5 or 7 or 10 or 13 years old, your mom was how old?
Well, my mom had me when she was 17.
Okay.
Which I guess if you were in the 16, 17, 1800s, that was a normal time, right? But,
Yeah.
Today's society, that's very bad. But my mom made her own path in life, and she rebelled against her parents that were trying to help her with success, right? And she said, I do this myself, and flailed all her life. And that's kind of the creation of it. Drugs and alcohol were very predominant, and still are in the South, how I grew up. And, alcohol is a toxin for happiness until you wake up in the morning, you realize how much it hurts you, and
Correct.
you got to go back to work the next day, right?
Yeah.
And you're just chasing that next happiness, that next drink. And, that's kind of how I was raised, is the iron fist and the glass bottle. There was no really in between of growing up. So there was no aspirations. There was no, hey, you should do this and that to succeed. Because how can you advise somebody to be successful when you're not successful yourself?
Mm-hmm.
You have no
She's
understanding.
being scrappy herself, trying to figure it out.
Well, as a kid, you don't know that either. You're led to
100%.
believe everything your parents say is the gospel, right? And
Correct,
you can't stray from that. But a lot of unfortunate things happened in my life as a kid, and I had to witness. And fortunately for me, I had to wake up as a kid, and I saw the path that I was on, and I was not a bad kid. I was a perfect attendance. I got an award for being a perfect attendance all through high school. I never missed a day in school until I graduated high school. I hadn't rode the bus until I graduated high school. I was a senior. I was the only senior in my class that was on the school bus. I had no problems with that. That was just normal life for me.
Yeah, it was just normal.
I didn't care.
Correct.
And my parents taught me, not to care about other people's feelings. My mom taught me really with an iron fist of who cares what other people think. Unfortunately, she just didn't give that great of advice on how to be successful.
Yeah.
But I learned as a kid that.
So she was like, how old when you were in high school?
My mom was in her 20s when I was in high school.
In her late
20s.
20s?
Yeah, 30s.
In her late 20s, early 30s.
16 years older than me, so.
Okay. So now with you being older and being able to kind of look over the situation, and it's not like giving her a pass or giving her an excuse or anything like that, but now looking at the situation, do you kind of view it a little different? Like damn,
The only thing I'm thankful was my own recollection of, or my own acceptance of what my life was. I could either play victim as that age, right, and say, because of this and this is why I'm not successful. I could play that, or I could grab life by its horns, figuratively, whatever.
Yeah.
I can make something of myself. And I learned is if I stayed where I was at, I'm either going to be, poor in a small, poor town, and that's how I'm going to be, or I'm going to make my own path. Either I'm going to wind up back in that situation, poor and broke, or I'm going to be successful. And it was a chance that I had to take. And I was like,
at what age did you start kind of forming that in your head, like, oh shit, like I really kind of just need to just
13,
take
12,
this.
13 when I got my first job. I was scouring in the newspaper for my first job at that age, and my first job was a ranch hand. So I was baling cotton, or I was picking cotton and baling hay, square bales, mind you, walking behind a tractor with hooks and putting hay bales on the back of the tractor trailer, and we were taking them to the barn and putting them on the loft, and then after that we were taking corn. We'd have trucks that come by with corn, and we were shucking corn and holding purple peas, and we were picking cotton, and we were working horses. We had quarter horses and bareback horses. We were doing barrel racing and things like that. That was very popular where I'm from. So you kind of worked in that environment, and I learned very early when I saw my parents. My stepdad worked in a factory all of his life, barely making it, always owing money to taxes. And my mom was basically a bar back all of her life, working in bars and drinking. And I was like, I can see this, and this is what I'm going to be doing if I stay here and I stay with this training.
And you recognize that at like 11, 12
Because
ish.
my mom was so young with me, and I was always the older kid. I was always the kid watching other kids. I was always the kid hanging out with adults. So I learned.
Yeah, so you grew
I
fast.
learned. I saw other adults doing adult things, and I was like, wow, this is what, this is life, and I'm still a kid. And I'm like, I can't consciously.
Yeah.
I don't want to live this way. So I was always dreaming of moving somewhere else.
You got a little brother, little sister?
I have a little sister that's in Alabama.
And she's how much younger?
3 years younger than me.
Okay.
Yeah.
So at like 11, you're like looking at your little sister. And
I basically raised my sister all the way till I graduated high school. Once I left for high school, my sister was on her own. So, yeah.
you guys are good now?
We don't have that great of a relationship. My sister still views life based on how she grew up versus how
she stayed there.
She stayed, yeah. My sister stayed in that environment, and the victim mentality for a lot of.
When you first left, you guys were close though.
Yeah, I would say close.
Because you guys were in high school together.
We were in high school together.
Okay.
In the school system where I was at, there was one school for 7th grade, one school for 8th grade, one school for 9th and 10th grade, and one school for 11th and 12th grade. All different areas.
Oh.
South, it was based on population, right? So in high school it was a county school, so many different little towns around gathered together for the one, for the high school.
Interesting.
And then
I never heard of a system like that.
So in 7th grade was Hunt Junior High School, and that was just one school. So growing up, my sister and I were, even 3 years apart, we were still in different schools. Different buses, different systems, different all that stuff. It wasn't until I was in 11th grade that we were in the same
school.
Yeah.
Got it.
So we really were kind of apart.
Oh, okay.
Things like that.
I mean, because the schooling out here is like junior high up until like 8th grade, and in high school from 9th, 10th.
Traditionally, yeah, you can be that way, all the way up to 8th grade.
So that's the reason why I was like, you guys were in school together. That's the reason why I was.
Yeah, school systems can be different, very different places. But where we grew up in the 90s, during that time in Alabama, Mississippi, in a little county school in South Lamar High School in Northport, Alabama, Lamar County, Alabama. If you want to be granular specific, it was a county school and very small. I think 50. I think we had 58. Probably math's way off, but 58 people in my senior class. I think we graduated with 30, maybe 40.
Oh wow!
After graduation, you figure pregnancies, dropouts. Hey, I've got a job already. I don't care about school. All that other stuff. And
wow!
So it's another part of the leveling of how I was thinking of life at the time. Is like, man, I'm. Like these
man, so you're forced to make these decisions.
Forced to make them, yeah. And at that time, I didn't even think about the military. Military was never, even though I grew up with military in my family. My grandfather was a World War II veteran. His brother was a World War II POW, or not World War II. I'm sorry, Korean War. So Korean War POW. I still have pictures in the newspaper article of my grandfather's brother. Actually, the sheriff in Naples, Florida, in Collier County, Florida, came to their house to let my brother or my grandfather know that his brother was coming back from Korea. My grandfather joined the Air Force that day to say, "Hey, I'm doing my part too. I'm going to go." Even though his brother was a POW, he decided to join, right, and go through the experience himself, because the family, we're dirt poor, like in Collier County in Naples, Florida, the family was there since 1870s or so. You're barefoot farmland growing. There's nothing around you. Even through hurricanes and stuff, it's all small knit community.
Yeah.
We looked after each other, and my grandfather ended up going back and becoming a sheriff deputy, and he retired as a sheriff captain out of Collier County. He was a court bailiff for a long time. That's where he retired out of, is being a bailiff in the court systems. And so he's seen, all that stuff, and I've got other family and stuff that are military, but it never crossed my mind to join the military. It never. I was like, no, college is the only. I gotta go. I gotta get this.
And when did that switch? When did that switch from being locked in on college, going, oh shit, I guess I'm gonna go to the military?
Well, when I graduated high school and I learned, so I had several music scholarships. I had a music scholarship to Livingston University in Alabama, to Troy University in Alabama, University of Alabama, a couple other Mississippi schools I had these music scholarships to, and and at that time I had no understanding of the financials of college. You just go and enjoy your time in the dorm, and whoop, and it's all good. And yeah, I realized once I graduated high school, the level of coaching was so minimal that I didn't realize how dumb I was when I graduated high school. I had no concept how dumb and ignorant I was of what the real world was like, and that was the Army's kind of indoctrination of what it was. And
but like in what way though? But like in what way?
Because I asked my mom, I was like, hey, I want to go, to Troy State. I've got this small scholarship. I need a vehicle. I need help to get down there. It's a couple hours, but I've worked my tail off. I got this music scholarship.
Okay.
My mom flat out said, well, good luck.
But you were right though.
100%.
Like everything that you were doing was spot on to
the right thing. I was
like spot on to
no
what
drugs, no alcohol, no. I had never done anything bad in school. I'd never gotten in trouble. A perfect attendance. I learned through trauma to not be a victim, to work and to do the right thing. And then I worked so hard to get to where I thought was the mecca of all my friends were going.
Yeah.
And I learned that I said, Mom, I was like, hey, I'm going to Troy State. I need help with a car. I need
So it was
what I need to do to get to there. And my mom was like, I'm sorry for you, but I don't have anything for you.
So it was your mom's lack of knowledge and awareness and
100%. Yeah, because my mom was,
and not to blame her. I'm not trying to blame her. I'm just
college is nobody in my family is excelled in his college as much as I have. I'm the only I have the most amount of college in my family, only because one, college isn't a necessity in the world, right? It's you're gonna hard work or hard physical work and doing things, or you're gonna go the school route and join the party of everybody else trying to be lucky, right?
Correct.
And trying to know somebody. My side of the family was all about
that. And that's not even lucky today.
We grew up as poor farmers in the South, and breaking in horses and riding the circus of barrel racing and all that stuff. That was my family's thing. That was happiness. There wasn't a drive to make and be rich. What was the necessity of that?
Yeah.
You didn't need all that money when you went home to see family.
You
only needed enough money to get. We farm, right? You got chickens and eggs and pigs and everything else that you're raising around the house. So you always had things, even if inflation, what was that? We didn't care. Chickens didn't understand inflations.
Yeah.
Unless you needed feed. But, you had land for that.
He said chickens didn't understand.
Exactly. So nobody cared about that stuff.
Yeah.
So what? You couldn't make backyard barbecues every weekend. You fed the family and your kids are having fun. They're out in the yard playing and you're enjoying life. That's what it was all about. Now it's everybody's about it's wealth. I need my bag, right? I need my money, and that's
everybody's chasing somebody's highlight reel.
Exactly right. And I think that's the sad part is because life is it's going by. They're not even enjoying.
They're missing.
They're not even.
They're missing everything.
Everything.
They're missing everything.
Every single thing. So I learned from.
They're not even giving themselves a chance to even think about.
Exactly. But I got to live all the hardships, and there's still people living it today. I'm not discounting anybody else. That life is still alive today.
Yeah.
Right. It's just social media just makes you think that it's
something different.
That it's a bad thing to grow up poor, and I don't think it's a bad thing. I'm glad I grew up poor, to be honest with you. Now I look back at my life versus if I grew up rich, I could have had more opportunities. But I see a lot of rich kids that threw their life away. They had everything in front of them. They didn't have to work for anything, and look what they did to themselves. Threw it all away. Maybe they didn't understand the urgency. Maybe they didn't see the other side of the wall. Maybe they didn't. Who knows? But
I got family like that.
That's how I envision raising my son. Is like you just don't know.
Yeah.
I don't even know if my son is going to turn out great. I don't know that, but at least as a dad, I'm going to try to give him as many opportunities as I can to say, hey,
and experiences.
When I'm 60 and my son is a turd and he didn't grow up to be successful, I'm going to say, hey, look, son, you still have the opportunity. There's nothing stopping you.
There's nothing stopping you.
It's you.
Yeah.
I want to teach my son it's all about you. It's you and your opportunities that are going to hold you back. Nobody else. And I learned that as a kid.
Put them in experiences.
Yep.
And that's my biggest thing is just to continue just to put them into situations.
Yep.
Just put them into a situation, put them into an experience.
Right.
And at some point, hopefully it clicks.
You don't know unless you try. That was my thing as a kid is I wanted to try things. So when I joined the Army, my best friend at the time was a year older than me. He graduated high school a year, and I saw from him like, oh, he's just working. He was working at the dollar Dollar General or something at the time,
like that.
and he was hot stuff because he was the assistant manager, going to be a manager. Now, at that time, he was very impressive. Like, oh, he's the manager of the store. He must be making good money. He can blah, blah, blah. But now I know that it was complete opposite, right? That it's not happening. And I always look back and it's like, man, that guy, his only goal in life was that level, not to knock him. That's great for him because that was his happiness. But for me, that was never my happiness, is to be there. I wanted something bigger, and I knew it was out there, and I just wanted to go for it. I wanted to, but I learned it's not easy. I learned it's not all sunshine and roses, and it's not you can't just go out there and, it's going to happen. It's so much work and dedication just for the chance to make it, and not everybody makes it.
So after you made it, after you went into the service, and you were in the service for how long?
7 years.
7 years.
7 years.
Long years or short years?
At first, it was short years because it was so fun.
Up until when?
I would say after 9/11, that's when the military really changed. How
many years were you in at that point?
96. I was in for like 3 years at the time.
At that time?
I was stationed in Korea when that happened. And I remember they woke us up at like 2 o'clock in the morning. Hey, look what's going on. We turned the news on. And then after that, the Army just turned into just a different shift in mentality, I guess.
Like what?
Say. Well, when I joined the military, I still had all the Vietnam vets were the generals, and the Desert Storm vets were the mid to senior level management, I guess you would say.
Yeah.
And then I guess after that, then you had a break. And so you didn't have any wartime leadership mentality experience, and that kind of took over.
Got it.
And once that took over, it washed. All the Vietnam vets were already out by then.
Yeah.
So then you just had the Desert Storm vets, and then they were transitioning to senior leadership, and then the senior leadership.
It lost all connection.
It lost all connection. Then you started getting into stress cards in the Army. Oh, I can't take. Then you had the changes in basic training. Then you had. The high topic of women in certain fields in the military started happening. You had women coming into my MOS, which is armor or being on tanks, and that was very like, oh no, like a lot of senior people were just like, no, this is not you. No, this is a man's world on tanks. Same in infantry at the time, right? Now you have women in infantry, and it was. And field artillery and mortars and all these were male dominant, right?
Yeah.
The only female, I remember in basic training, the only female.
Do you think for good reason though?
100%.
And that's not to disrespect any female or anything like that.
It's never. It's not a matter of physically doing some of the jobs. I mean, there's a big difference in NBA and the WNBA, right? And it has nothing to do with just. I hate women or I bash men, but physically,
there's a difference.
There's a big difference. Not to say women can't shoot basketball. Of course you can.
Yeah.
But can you shoot to the same caliber? If I put 100 women against 100 men, what are the odds of the women beating the men?
Yeah, extremely low.
It's going to be less than 1%.
Correct.
Less than 1%. I mean, the margin is so small.
The facts are just the facts.
The facts are facts. It is an emotional fact for me. It's just a fact. And if I take an army that is, I guess you want to say dominating the world or has dominated the world, if I want to take that mentality of training the best force, the best of the best of the best in a physical environment, I'm going to pick men. Because men are physically more dominant than women. We have less emotions in the matter. It's just A to B. Yeah. This is what I got to do. There's
more
no
physical capability.
Back. Boom. I'm getting the job done. Women have a more emotional hierarchy. They have more thought process when it comes to those stressful environments. And also physically, infantry, artillery, armor. Not saying a woman can't take a track apart on a tank and do maintenance on a tank, but when you're doing this for 20 years, it takes a toll on your body. I did it for 7, and my knees and my hips and my ankles are shot. And for a woman to do the same thing, long-term effect, that's a very bad thing for women. I wouldn't want them to do it. Not to say they can't do it. I mean, But I mean, look at other countries that are not in war and they have women in their forces.
Yeah.
Because they're not at war.
Yeah.
They're not actually practicing these things. They're just they're filling a quota.
That's true.
And I understand that, and I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that, and I'm not saying women shouldn't be in combat, and that's not the argument, because obviously they can be. But if I'm training the best of the best to be the best of the best is going to be the men in the physical environments. The best of the best in construction aren't women. Bricklayers, electricians, carpenters, plumbers, skyscraper builders,
linemen.
Whatever you want to say. It's
linemen, line women.
Men, because men pick those hard, strong jobs because men are hard, strong people.
Yeah.
Plain and simple.
At the end of the day, more physical capability.
More physical capabilities. And you can add hierarchy and patriarchy and
however you want to do
and
it.
all that stuff. You can throw all that stuff, but at the end of the day,
has there ever been a woman Navy SEAL?
No, I don't think so. I don't think to this date, not a single woman has ever graduated Bud School, which is the underwater demolition school, basic underwater demolition school, which is
But there's been efforts.
I've
never heard of it.
In Navy SEAL in that community, I think that community is still so tight that I don't think it'll ever, because again, you're the best of the best of the best in that environment are going to be men. Even the weakest of men are going to be the strongest of the women. That's
because the percentage of men making it through is
very slim. It's still a slim margin to even make it through Bud's training or the evolution of Bud's school. It's still very, very small. I think the Army is a little bit more forgiving in that aspect because it's more societal, I guess you want to say, playground, right? That's where they start playing around with these things in the Army versus the Navy or maybe even the Marine Corps. The Army likes to play these games to see what ifs, and which is different than I would say Vietnam and before.
Society plays the what ifs.
Yeah, and it's unfortunate because what ifs can get you killed, and we've learned that in the military is it's the quick second thinking that gets you killed, and that's the difference in life and death is a hesitation.
A hesitation.
Not to say a man won't do the same thing, but
Correct.
we're talking about multiplicative thought process. We're not talking about additive or just
I like that
singular
word.
thing, right? Yeah. It's all the men, not just one woman that could possibly be there, or maybe 10 women of 10,000 or 100,000 of a base sample could make it. Why would you risk it?
Yeah.
You know, even if you have this mentality of women shouldn't fight because women should be birthing and being, in the house, and I get that, but not every woman.
But not every woman, correct.
Same as a man.
Correct.
Right?
Correct.
Not all men are
linemen.
Macho men.
Yeah.
Right? It's a lot of men are on the beta side. A lot of men are the more, I wouldn't say feminine, but not as masculine, right?
Correct.
That's normal.
Yeah.
And we shouldn't bash that as a society. We should accept that as a society, that there are going to be men that are hardcore, that's just the way they do. And there are going to be men that are softer, and that's the way they do. Same as women. There are going to be more women that are hardcore, more assertive, then there are going to be more women that are more feminine, that are going to be less assertive. That's just, but to say that this one should be this one is just insane.
Yeah.
It's just insane. I wouldn't want to take the feminist of feminine women and try to put them in the most masculine men and say, hey, men, you must accept this.
Correct.
Hey, women, you must accept this. I think that's ridiculous.
Yeah.
That's what's tearing us apart right now, because now we're forced to not judge. Remember I said about judging? We all judge every single day. And now we're telling everybody that we can't judge and that your judgment is bad? That makes no sense.
Yeah.
How do we get to this?
Yeah. That's basically trying to tell you how to control your thoughts.
100%. And
how you feel.
I believe in freedom, but there's a point to entry of things, right? You have the freedom to want to do it. You have the freedom to say that's available, but not everything you have access to.
Correct.
Same in real estate. The bar to real estate, to be in real estate, is so low. To enter being a real estate agent, to be an underbroker, is so low that you have so many agents out there that
the barrier to entry is ridiculous.
It's insane.
It really is.
Try to navigate real estate even in that same sense, to think, hey, how do I pick somebody to list my house? The only thing that agents have right now is is social media, because that's the dominance of life right now.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm going to take all these fancy pictures and I'm going to take some drone shots. But you know what? So is everybody other agent. But they're not doing it themselves.
Correct.
Because they're not professional.
Correct.
They're paying somebody to do it.
Correct.
So really, when you get down to that aspect, and I apply real estate to that, real estate is all about your brain. It's all about negotiations. Who can negotiate prices and understand contracts better than the other person.
Yeah.
Because that person is going to make you the most money, not the social media person.
You want to know something that's interesting, and I don't know how many people actually look at it from this type of lens, is that real estate agents and attorneys have the similar type of stigma to them.
It's the same thing, because you think about it, in these jobs and these opportunities you have in life, you get a license and now you're on your own.
Correct.
Now you got to make your business, because now you are an independent contractor. You're an independent business. You, as a lawyer, can start out your own law firm, right?
Correct.
And start practicing law.
Yeah.
How you do that is your own business. You can pick all these different industries, right?
Yeah, correct.
Trial, civil,
concentrations, different type of concentrations.
You can pick, women's and divorces, or you can whatever. Think anything you can think of.
Yeah.
Real estate is almost the same thing, right? Is once you get a real estate license, you are now on your own.
You can navigate how you
figure out how to grow your business.
100%.
So you can either do it yourself, or you can join a team, or like a lawyer joins a law firm, and they start out in the job, and hopefully they join a law firm that looks at them and says, hey, come here, let me show you something. I am going to teach, guide, and train you to be the best lawyer you can be, because you're going to add value now to my law firm. Now you come in the same thing as real estates and lawyers is pick or choose your evil, because not all agencies are the same. Not all brokerages are the same, and it's based on the person running that and how their business.
But the barrier to entry is very different.
It is laughably non-existent, I guess you would say. And state-specific aside, in California, it requires you to pass 3 continuing education courses online. I wouldn't say anybody, because, well, I mean, I guess if you want to be that way,
majority of agents are not doing it.
It isn't difficult. They're very comical courses. Yeah, and it doesn't take a rocket science to pass these courses, right? And then you sit for the
majority of the agents aren't even doing it themselves anyway. If we're just being honest,
I think about all the kids in school right now doing the same thing, right? And I'm like, I remember even in some of the college courses I took.
Have we as society advanced past all of this, like bottom level testing?
No,
because
I don't think that's going to change until the millennial generation is at the top of the food chain. Because see, now you still have the baby boomers and all that stuff that are really in charge of all this stuff. That's where all the wealth is still in this country. Even in real estate, is the boomers and baby boomers. They have all the stuff still. Once that switches, then I think testing is going to be a thing of the past. I mean, look at law enforcement agencies now. They're reducing or waiving so many things just to get people to apply to law enforcement. What kind of person is one going to apply now? But what are you going to expect after they're turned out of law enforcement academy?
Yeah. What type of result are you really expecting?
Well, it's an ugly world. I mean, if you think about it, and that's the same in any other agency or any other field, right? Is if your bar to entry is so low, that's the quality of people. And like in the military, if your bar to entry to get in the military is so low, think of all these people you call heroes, but what are they really? There's a lot of dirtbags in the military.
Just going through the motions? Just going through the motions.
Not even going through the motions, just blatantly, like, to kick somebody out of the military back in the day was easy. Now to kick somebody out of the military is very difficult. It's you got to go through so many hoops and paperwork. Like when I was
unionized, right?
When I became an NCO or non-commissioned officer in the Army, it was easy for me to chapter somebody out of the Army for just failing basic things. If you cannot pass a physical fitness test once a quarter, if you couldn't pass physical training in the mornings when you're with everybody else in a group, I'm going to look at you going, either you have a physical problem that I need to address and help you through, or you just have a motivational problem. I'm going to help you through both of them. Right? I can lead you all the way to the trough and to drink the water, but I can't force you to do that. And I don't want to force anybody in the military to do their job. I want people that are like, hey, I'm ready to go. I'm ready to go. Let's go. Let's go. Because those are the type of people that I can train and move around and help out. You know, I can't help the person that will not do anything.
Because the other individual you wouldn't even trust if you're out at battle.
never. Why? I'd be scared. And then I turn into the person that wants to do everything myself because it's myself now. I'm
correct.
Myself. I have all these other turds that are with me that I know that don't have my back. I know that are going to poop themselves when something happens, and they're just they're not strong enough.
Yeah.
So now what I'm making my own rules in the game and trying to survive because.
So you built your own shitty bed at that point.
Yeah, because the bar is so low that they've allowed the floodgates to open, either through choice or no choice. Right now, the military recruiting is so low and dismal that they don't have a choice. Even when I was a recruiter, like they were relaxing tattoo standards, and you weren't allowed to have tattoos on your neck and your face and your hands for a reason, because of image, right?
Of course.
You didn't want to have a force full of what looked like convicts. You wanted a professional force. So when you were displaying your media to the population, you had this image, right? The good old boy, I love my country, America, all this other stuff. That's what you wanted because that's what won wars. That's what kept the population to approve of these war standards, right? To approve of you going to invade another country because of all these other things. Now, it's just not the same. I mean, our military is not the same by any standards. Even the elite forces are starting to feel deterioration. Even the Navy SEALs or you hear podcasts from Navy SEALs that have left and become successful entrepreneurs or whatever, and they tell you the dark secrets of that society and that culture of, that the impenetrable culture, right?
Yeah.
Being penetrated by government. Now it's being penetrated by what ifs, and it starts to erode, and real estate's the same way. Real estate. The bar of entry is so low that you've eroded. Now, because everybody thinks that realtors, you just take pictures and now you're making this big commission. Well, that for the population, it could be a lot truth, right? And that's what you get because you have
there is some truth to it.
Is you have all these real estate agents that have such a low bar of entry that they've never had to pass obstacles. They've never been tested. You don't even know who they are. They're just a person that says, hey, I'm a realtor. I can do all these things. Hire me. And now the population is suffering because there's no control over that. At least the lawyers, you have to pass a bar exam and all that stuff. And I guess real estate exam is kind of the same. It's controlled by the state, right? And the commissioner, right? Yeah, real estate commissioner can take your license. But
I think it's very different when we start talking about the bar.
Yeah.
When we start talking about the bar.
But look how many crooked lawyers are out there.
Which is wild.
It's super wild. Look how many police are out there through the academy. Look how many
we have a close friend
and everything. You can think of all verticals of jobs and how many crooked people are out there, but nobody's doing anything about it. We're just sitting back and laughing at it.
So okay, so I got something for you. I got something for you.
Before that, think about the statistics. If you think about statistics, I keep seeing this all the time. Is there will be a statistic of there's 200 people, right? And there's X amount of this population has criminal records. X amount of criminal records are XYZ, blah, blah, blah. And then they say, who do you think this population is? And everybody's like, that's the NBA team. That's the NFL. Oh, yeah, that's that. Guess who it was? Congress.
It was Congress. I seen that. Everybody was like, it's the NBA. Oh, that's the NFL.
Right. I think about that all the time, right?
That's South Central. No, play.
The people that are making laws and rules for us are the same people that are breaking those laws and rules. In a society, we just laugh about that. I think that's insane.
Okay, so that's along the lines of I read in some books early on that the best investment is the investment that you control.
100%.
Right. So when we start talking about Congress and government entities and things like that, and to the point that you just shared right now, the ones that are in control and setting everything up are the same ones that
are benefiting,
carry the trophy.
100%. Like or love Trump, whatever your views or politics, and I'll just say it is Trump said about his taxes, right, and his tax filings and his evaluations of businesses, which by the way are controlled by the banks. The banks are going to sign off on what they want to, not
absolutely
a factional thing.
Yeah,
but Trump said he said
the factual banking system.
Said, I don't know why you're mad at me. I'm following the laws. I am following the laws that you wrote, and you benefit off of them. If you want me to suffer, then change the laws. I don't, and think about not just him, but anybody that files taxes every year. Do they go to whatever big block place and say, hey, I want to pay as much taxes as possible? Nobody. Everybody goes in there and says, hey, give me every avenue that you can find to reduce my tax burden.
Period.
If you don't go in there, you're an idiot. Sorry, but
yeah.
If you go in there saying, well, I guess I owe, ha ha ha.
Okay.
No way.
There you go.
No, who wants to give a loan to the government for free and then just hope that they're going to give you a little bit of free bread back? Nobody. You got to be crazy to think that way. I just don't understand it. If you want to change, then look at the people that are making the laws and examine their lives and go, wait a minute. If they're getting paid $100,000 a year from my taxes, but all of a sudden 5 years later they're millionaires. I think I'm in a rigged system here because I'm not making that.
That's very interesting.
But yeah, I mean, think about all the people that, I mean, we can just look at politicians around this area that have made it into Congress and stuff and all the promises they made. Hey, I'm here to fight about lower prescription drug medications for our seniors. That's a stick. Every year they say this stupid stuff. But who's going to fight against insurance companies? Nobody. Because insurance runs our medical system here.
Correct.
It isn't a free market base of doctors that are, hey, you're going to pay $20. You're going to pay $20 to come see me to tell you that you got the flu or you got laryngitis or something. But no. And I'm going to write you the medicine that I think is the best for you in your care because I'm a doctor, right?
The best for my pockets.
Right. But unfortunately, doctors have to sign up in order to take patients that have an insurance program. They have to sign up in that insurance program. They have to negotiate their fees with the insurance company.
Mm-hmm.
Books, I mean, insurance books are thick. If you're a new employee of the company and you say it's insurance enrollment time, have you ever really understood your insurance program? Nobody understands it.
Nobody.
It's so complex. It's books upon
by design.
They just all they want to know is how much do I got to pay a month? What are my copays and deductibles going to be?
Because you guys did a great job at making it so conflicting.
They don't understand until they actually have to use a service, and then they go, "Oh, wait a minute, I broke my leg, and you don't cover that? $5,000 out of pocket? That ambulance ride was $3,000? What? Wait a minute, I didn't know that." The insurance is going to say, "Well, we presented all the information to you.
It's right there."
This is why insurance is such a crock. And if you look at dental insurance, dental insurance is still based in the 1950s, right? And because of the payouts in dental insurance annually is, if you have the best insurance of dental insurance, is about $2,500 a year, right? One filling costs you about $400. A crown costs you well over $1,000, depending on the area of the country you live on, lab costs and the dental fees and all that stuff. Insurance, typically, even the best insurance is going to pay 80% of that.
Yeah, the best of the best.
The best of the best.
Correct.
At the most, they're going to pay 20% if you get accepted. If they deem you, good enough to take that program and for them to give you money. Car insurance, no difference. Health insurance is no difference. Doctors sign up for this thing and they negotiate fees. So if a doctor writes you a prescription for, let's just say, a cream for eczema, right? And the company makes it for $3 a tube, and the doctor sells it to you for $4 a tube, and only makes $1 markup. You're getting a great deal.
Correct.
But if an insurance company says, no, we need to make money too.
Correct.
Now that tube of cream is $16.
Yeah, correct. We need to make 30%.
But guess what prescription that doctor is going to write you? The $16 one. Even though he knows this medicine here is only $4.
Correct.
It does the same stupid thing.
Correct.
He has to write you the $16 because they're contractually obligated under
Absolutely.
insurance. How broken of a system is that? Real estate is no different. You have ding-dongs that are, I wouldn't say forced, but they're obligated to follow certain rules. Or say California Association of Realtors.
Okay.
National Association of Realtors. Two organizations that do absolutely nothing for realtors. We're talking about training, obligations, expectations. In order to be a realtor, the only thing you have to do is be a member of the National Association of Realtors, pay your money, and sign a code of ethics.
That's it.
That distinguishes you a realtor versus a real estate sales agent. That's the only thing.
Absolutely.
But if you ask NAR or National Associated Realtor for anything, what are you going to get? You're just a drop in the boat. You're a small fish in the pond. You are nothing but, oh, I got a license and I need help from NAR? Sorry.
Just pay your fee.
Just pay your fee. But what are they providing for real estate? What are they providing for real estate in general? The only reason they become popular was through the 50s and 60s, through redlining, through highways that were built through poor areas that happened to be marginal areas that didn't happen to be white neighborhoods. They happened to be other neighborhoods, right? If you had darker skin than white, then you were affected differently. And now all they try to do is paint that picture of, well, home ownership is the way to be, blah, 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 blah. But they don't address what they're doing is they're actually destroying real estate. Now,
they haven't evolved.
Up until this generation, home ownership was available for anybody. The median wage to qualify for a home loan was attainable.
Correct, it was.
It wasn't until this generation that stopped.
Correct.
Why? Because we have a lust to be millionaires. Now, real estate it was learned that real estate is a vehicle for wealth.
Correct.
Once that vehicle has been presented to the population, everybody wants it.
The floodgates have opened.
Everybody wants it. Everybody out there wants real estate. Even foreign people want our real estate because they realize the appreciation of real estate, even in the Southern California market, which is highly sought after because of our
access to the beach.
Our stupid tax for how great our weather tax, right? That's what I was trying to say. Our weather tax.
Our weather
tax.
That's
the only reason. That's the only reason. It's minus Hollywood and Silicon Valley. Everybody's an actor, and they come out here for the big chance and all that stuff. And I understand that. I'm not knocking that. And that's a great life to have, right? Is you have a dream, you want to do it, and this is the place to do it. But the effect of that, the adverse effect of that, and the amount of money that's
for the regular community, for the regular society,
it hurts the regular society, and
everybody's paying for it.
And but the true discussion is, what do you do to fix that? And that's the conundrum. Is if you base real estate in its principle is the foundation of freedom to own property.
But do you really own it?
No, because property tax negated all that stuff. Once property tax was laid into effect in this country, that negated freedom, in my opinion, because you're no longer free.
You will always pay. You're
always pay. And what did poor people from Great Britain escape? Taxation from the monarchy. Property taxes, taxation on everything, taxation on goods. They escaped that to come here and to force their.
So the U.S. government said, wait, hold on. Let's go and implement this system.
You're making money. We want some of that. Now you have property taxes.
Pay me.
It always makes you a slave. Property taxes will always make you a slave to the
You're forever indebted.
It's insane. Payroll taxes.
So you have
general.
So you have so you have your payroll tax, right? Then you have your sales tax, right? And then you have your property tax. So how many times have you been taxed?
You're taxed. I think the average is like 7 times before you actually see the money in your account. You're taxed 7 different ways. That's just an average. Before you actually.
What is the solution? What is the solution?
That's a hard one because everything.
Move to Thailand?
Well, no. I mean, you want to live a different life and have fun, but I love the Constitution of the United States. It's the best in the world, and it's been that way since the Constitution was enacted. Since 1776, this country has been the best country this world has ever seen. Period. However you think about how it started, is irrelevant. Because that's how all countries started, with war and takeover and hostility and slavery, and that was the justification for everything in life. Because we're humans, we take over humans. We use other humans, we conquer. Even now today, people think about that. If you're a communist, you're going to think of the same way. Your boss is in charge of you. He's your slave master. He does this and that, and he controls you, and blah blah. And I'm like, not really. You have the freedom to contractually do what you want to do.
You can come and go as you please.
But to answer your question, real estate's based on freedom. And if you take that away, we're no longer truly free. We have no need or want to be property owners anymore. I don't have that lust to be free. And that was the total in my opinion, when people were left Europe to come over here to form their own country, it was based on getting away from taxation and the monarchy. It was a possibility to own something for yourself, to create your own life, and to not have anybody look over you and take stuff away from you that wasn't theirs. And I don't know. I mean, what rules and regulations can you put on the real estate industry to curb investors? Or
you could do like Trump did.
Private ownership.
You could do like Trump did and
example,
turn his golf course into a funeral home and not pay taxes.
Why not? I mean, look at every funeral home out there. Look at every church out there and the properties they have. Why aren't they taxed?
If we go back a little bit, families used to bury families on the family land.
That's right.
So when did funeral homes come about and the shift of shifting people's thoughts and minds on that there's ghosts and it's bad to have your loved ones buried on your property, and then funeral homes came about? And does those timelines line up with any country activities or involvements and cost and taxes?
I mean, you could probably equate it to a lot of things. I mean, I can think like the industrial complex, right? It created all these jobs and the need for certain skills to be at certain places. So you had a lot of movement. So now you weren't just there and being able to live off your land. You had to work in a factory in order to make a certain amount of income in order to survive. It depends on the region you're at. I guess the answer, in my opinion, would be like life in the South where I was at was completely different than life in the North or life in the West. And it depends at the time that you're living between the 50s and 60s, 60s and 70s, 80s and 90s, 1800s, 1900s. Big differences in everything. Like if I equate that to 1800s, sure, life could have been great back then, but your life expectancy, you didn't live past 40.
Of course, yeah.
If you broke your leg, you were screwed.
Yeah.
You know, if you had a complication in your pregnancy, you probably died.
Yeah.
Along with the baby.
Correct.
You know, so medical advancements completely changed the landscape of life and society, how we view it. Financial things did too. Technology did too. So you have an amalgamation of a lot of factors.
Yeah.
You can't really pinpoint
per
se, I guess you would say.
So,
you could see triggers and identifiers, right? But
yeah, I mean,
I don't think so. I don't know.
Well, I mean, Trump took advantage of this legality.
Of course.
I mean, so
everybody else does.
So anybody can.
Of course, anybody can. That's the thing, is anybody can. This is like what he famously says: if you want to change and you want me to follow the rules, then change the rules. Because if you want me to follow rules that make you happy, then change the rules.
Absolutely.
Because otherwise, I'm going to.
They didn't change nothing.
They didn't change any of them because they all follow the same thing. Once you're at a certain income,
so success is very easy, then, right?
No, success is very hard, and it's very hard to keep it. But once you're in it, there's an insatiable crave to stay in it. And I think that crave of once you're in it, once you get that feeling, right? Once you become a business owner and successful and you make X amount of money and you feel that feeling, you know, I think that feeling is like a drug that for some people is like I would say like a drug addict, you know, like once you get that first hit, like it's there for life. You're like, wow. I'm gonna keep going. I'm gonna keep going. And some business people will take that literally to their grave. They'll run a business in the ground, or some of them will understand life and how to use people, bad or good, because not all business is great. You know, it's a lot of it is done. It could be in a bad way, right? You use a lot of people. You burn bridges and friendships in order to get successful. But life is
people are learning along the way.
Learn along the way, either the hard way, the easy way, good way, bad way. It's just life. You can't judge, and not everything is a cookie cutter thing. And I think that's what society wants now, because we're able to give our opinion in an instant that we think that opinion should hold weight and be able to change something at an instant.
An instant as well.
And that change, I learned that as a young kid, that you can't change things fast. Everything is super slow, if impossible. I mean, think of the government. How can we? The government hasn't changed for the positive. It's been a slow decline since 76 for the worse, in my opinion. Like you have all these people that think, oh, communism is the way to go. Like, oh, you pay taxes and to sources, right, for law enforcement and fire department, so you're a socialist. No, we just learned throughout life that you need certain things in order to make life better, right?
Yeah.
We learn that if you don't pick the trash up from the streets and have sewage, then we're going to have diseases and our population is going to die. You have a low life expectancy. If we don't have purified water, then same again. You have a low life expectancy. If you don't have law enforcement, then you have crime rampant. Then you have low life expectancy, no business. Fire department, same way. When the fire department started, fires were put out by the community. But then they learned through technology and trial and error and force that fire departments were for a reason, and now we need to pay a little bit in order to have these professionals do these things. That sort of tax is an understanding, that minimal tax. But what the government has done is they forced you to say, no, you need to have this, and we're going to control this, not you. And that's the break in society, in my opinion. Yeah. So there's such a disparity now, even in real estate, of people that have a lot and people that don't have a lot, and now that struggle difference is
the gap.
A lot of people at the bottom realize they're never going to make it now more than ever. Yeah. But if you look back through society and generations, I think that's always been.
That's always been.
Always been that way, right?
Yeah.
I can look back and say, well, I had it this way and blah, blah, blah. And somebody from the 60s can say, oh, look, I had it this way. And, oh, look how it made me. And that's always.
Well, there's always been a gap, and there will always be a gap.
There'll always be a gap. Yeah. People need to get out of their mindset that we can't have a homogenous, unified, everything is great and, clicking and we have our place in life.
It just doesn't work that way.
Never going to happen.
Absolutely.
And real estate is no different. It's always going to be volatile because it's our freedom contractually to sell or buy property.
Yeah.
The government tries to step in and say, hey, you should have a blind approach to this. Like I can't write contracts and say, hey, this is an African American, this is an Hispanic, this is a white person, this is an Asian contract. Which one do you want to choose? Because
I'm Puerto Rican, by the way.
Well, same. You could be Dominican, and I would say the same thing. Or Haitian.
Hilarious.
But it's black. But it's the same concept, right? Is this and which is some good things, right? Is how the government can curb certain trends and steering, right? Is, hey, 100%. You have to take the contract for its basis of the name and the price. So you can't take the contract based off everything else that's behind it. You don't know the person. It's irrelevant who the person is going to buy your house. They've taken that away from home ownership, right? And I can understand that aspect, right?
Yeah.
Because now it opens them up to anybody that wants to be in that area because they throw race as the objectifier. And I would say in certain aspects, race is a part of the process. Or part of the problem. I'm not saying it isn't.
Correct.
But it's more financial. It's just the financial aspect that the government tries to control too much. And if I have a property and I've paid for my property, contractually I should be able to do whatever I want to within the legal bounds of, hey, I can't just burn it down or, whatever. But if I want to sell it to whoever I want to sell it to, I should be able to.
But then there's still limitations, right?
There are limitations, yeah. So here we go again. It's just, how do you fix an imperfect process? You can't, right? How do you make the masses happy so
you're trying to mitigate risk at the end of the day, right? Because limitations are set for risk boundaries, right? So you're trying to mitigate and manage risk at its best ability.
Right. I think the current generation just wants the have-nots to be in the haves, and they will do that any way possible, and they'll use disparaging things like, oh, we have to make it about race, or we have to make it about economics, or we have to make it about your physical body or whatever. But so it all has a play in it in some degree. But
okay, so what is your thoughts on people being educated when it comes to purchasing and passing along property? And we're talking about government entities, and if someone has to travel through the probate process, it's robbery. Being educated on having a property in an LLC or a trust, and maybe life insurance that funnels into a trust. If we start talking about the Rockefeller plan, what is your knowledge on sharing with the community when it comes to that?
Well, first, Rockefeller was a conglomerate, and he was out to destroy everything. He would buy it up and destroy it. That was Rockefeller's deal. I wouldn't hold any weight to Rockefeller, but I would say put your house in a trust. That'd be number one thing. Everybody should have a house in a trust. At least that shields you from the government coming to try to take something, even though we all know the bank and the government still has their foot in there one way or another. At least shields you. I don't know. You don't know what you don't know.
True.
And
True.
if you lead life through that lens of never reaching out for education, then you're going to get passed up on a lot of things, because life is about luck. There's a lot of luck and a lot of hard work. And if you don't have that opportunity or that education, you're not seeking that education, you're never going to know. So you're going to be a victim, more than likely.
Luck. So you say luck. I always think about luck as preparation meets opportunity.
True, it could be. But if you ask Mark Cuban what he thought about his wealth, he'd tell you he got lucky.
But he was prepared to perform.
No, at that time that he was creating his tech companies, there was an unknown. I mean, he could have lost everything. There was never a known that, hey, I'm going to be a multi-billionaire and have all this stuff, and if I just did X, Y, Z, I'll make it. He didn't know that. All he knew is at that time, and he was just building a little small tech company, and that was his world. That was his bubble.
Yeah.
It wasn't until
But he was doing it well, though.
True, a lot of people were, but he just got lucky that somebody saw it at the right time and bought it for the amount of money that they bought it for, which fueled his other lucks and his opportunities to be successful where he's at.
So you're saying that opportunity was in the luck space?
100%. If that opportunity wasn't there at the right time that he was doing something, luck.
Yeah, he would just be a regular.
He would never be where he's at right now.
Yeah,
He'd
correct.
be just
He'd be a
another
regular
business owner that had a little tiny tech company. He would not be Mark Cuban. He would never have bought the Mavs. He would have never done X, Y, Z, which he's selling anyways, right? Because it made him money. And the only reason he bought it was an investment. He didn't buy it because he loved him that much. He bought it because it made him multi-million years later because of the evaluation of the team rose above what it is then.
Just like
it's luck, man.
Just so
got to be at the
so
right
that's almost like the same thing. That's like the same thing traveling into a different space, but still talking about real estate as Jerry Buss. Yeah. Because a lot of people don't understand the Lakers story. Yeah. Which was a real estate transaction.
Right.
And
so was McDonald's. McDonald's isn't based on selling hamburgers. Yeah. It's all real estate. Yeah. Their wealth is in the real estate that they purchase to put their locations in. Yeah. That's all McDonald's is. You're not gonna be millionaires making 99-cent hamburgers. Correct. But you will be if you have land and your evaluation of that land is leveraging you to buy more land.
I think McDonald's is the largest shareholder of real estate.
I don't know 100%, but I believe so.
It's up there.
Yeah, it's up there.
It's up there.
They own a lot. Mm-hmm. And a lot of those companies are that way. They understand that the franchise itself isn't the money maker. It's the tertiary part of it. It's the real estate, or it's something else that it's fueling, right? Yeah. It's even in small business, right? You like painting, right? You have commercial painting, you have residential painting. For a painting contractor to be successful and to have money in the bank, right, they do the residential side because that pays immediately and it pays a smaller chunk, but it puts money in the bank. If you want the bigger money and the
faster cash flow,
it's faster cash flow. But if you want the bigger money with a slower cash flow, but with a little bit more risk, then you go in the commercial side. Yeah. But you have to have those residential contracts to fuel that risk. Correct. That luck in order to get you in the commercial side, which is bigger money, and that's how you scale those little businesses. Plumbing, electrical, same way, right? You can do little residential stuff, but that's not going to make you in the big company. It's once you get into dominating that market in residential and then going into commercials when you start to see the stars align, and you got all these multiple trucks and and marketing and advertisements and all that stuff. And you can tell the difference in franchises and the different companies you hear on the radio or print advertisements or on the streets and signs and whatnot. And you see the ones that can afford all the marketing. That's
with any business.
Doesn't matter what it is.
Any industry.
Any business scale that way, yeah. Yep.
Anything that anybody does.
If I make coffee tables, I can make coffee tables to residential homes, or I can make coffee tables to big corporations and businesses. Which one's going to pay more money? Corporations.
Absolutely, but one has to pay faster.
$40,000 conference room tables, and they can buy the nice, luxurious ones because they're tax write-offs versus mom and pop at their house that's buying something that they've been taxed 7 times already, and now they're using this money to buy a coffee table for their home or a dining room table at their home. So then now the expenditure of what they want to pay is based on either the perception of value of what they're buying or the amount of money that they have or don't have.
Yeah. What would you say about people that have the knowledge, have the well-being, and are in the correct?
Don't mean you can use it right. That's what it's the other additive, right? Is just because I'm the most knowledgeable person doesn't mean I can. Just because I know every statistic about baseball doesn't mean I know how to
go out there and play baseball.
I know every statistic, though. I'm the smartest man in statistics. I can tell you every.
So that leads into my question about coaching. I like that. I like where you're going with that. So, what, based off exactly what you are leading into right now, what is your real take on coaching?
Everybody should have I learned this, man, the hard way, and I thought if you had a coach, that just means that you were at a certain level that you could afford to have somebody teach you something. I didn't realize.
Okay, so you looked at it as like you have to be.
There was an entry.
Special.
You had to be special in
order to have a coach.
100%. I thought it was coaches were just.
A lot of people look at it the opposite.
I looked at it that way. I learned the hard way that because I always thought, it's just you got to know somebody. You got to play the game, the good old boy system. You know, it was the South. That's how I related. Even in the military, you know, trying to gain rank in the military, I thought, the good old boy system's out to get me. If I don't play politics or I don't play this, something's not going to happen. But I learned that a lot of people get to where they're getting because knowledge is power, and a lot of times the coaches are giving them those tidbits. They're giving them some avenue that they didn't know existed, or maybe they're giving them a little push. They're giving them an exercise so they learn something about themselves to give them that push. It's a coach. It's
something like that's football, viewed from the outside.
You didn't realize that you're a great quarterback until you got the right coach to teach you what you didn't know, to push you to that next level. That's a good coach, not
because when you're in the middle of the fire, you can't see the outside of the fire.
Yeah, because you're stuck in the fire. You're engulfed in all this stuff around you, and you're trying to battle all this stuff, and you're not realizing that all that stuff is so small in reality that you shouldn't be messing with it. You should be going after the other stuff above it.
Yeah,
that's what's got to put out that fire or increase it to get you to where
that's almost like I think I heard it saying something similar to this where you could be crawling through the smoke, or you could just stand up.
100%. Yep. And once you stand up, you go like, oh, wow, I didn't realize this.
Oh, shit. Shit. I could just step over that.
I was so dumb, man. I could have been burned up in this fire. All I had to do was stand up. Same way with swimming, right? If I just stood up, well, I'm good. I didn't have to swim.
No. You still need to learn how to swim. You get in the wrong water.
I agree. But you also got to learn how to get out of fires, too, and smoke. Where there's smoke, there's fire, right? Yeah, I mean, coaching, I think, is very important. And I don't know statistics in society, but you know, I equate it like I just say men in general. We don't seek out advice and help. Like, you know, like if my wife said, "Hey, we need to go talk to somebody. Let's go see a counselor." I'm like, "Oh no, let's just talk about what's the problem. What's the problem right now?
We can just talk about it."
I didn't realize that a third person would help me see something that I would refuse to see. Like, because I'm pretty bullheaded. I can a lot of things is the way I grew up. Like I just didn't want to see something, or I just didn't think about it some way, or even in life, right? If my 18-year-old brain is nothing like my 40-year-old brain. Like if I could talk to myself at 18, I would sit myself down and say, dude,
chill. Hey.
Please, man, nobody's out to get you. You'll be just fine. You're going to make it. If I would have talked to my 40-year-old self at 18, I might. And I know a lot of people wish the same thing.
Yeah.
That they could go back and just say, hey, let me smack some sense into you, little dummy.
A lot of people.
You shouldn't have listened to this person. I know you thought this person was the best thing since sliced bread, but actually they were the dumbest person in town. And
man,
that's what I say about luck. Like,
man,
youth,
my goodness,
kids, we're so susceptible to failure because we listen to so many idiots out there. And but.
So
idiots
I look back.
Be successful people. You just never know.
Hey, luck.
I'm telling you.
Luck.
I'm telling you.
Man, I look back on some situations, a lot of situations, and I mean, I'm grateful for the things that I have, the things that I've achieved, etc. However, because my father wasn't there,
right?
You know, my mom did the best she could do. I had a stepfather, and you know, once I became a teenager, you know, I was that thug and
Right.
and all that stuff, like the real thug.
Right.
And, you know, I've seen a lot of stuff and done some stuff. However, once I got into maybe my senior year, like my junior year, I started trying to go towards basketball. And, you know, I was decent. I played like my senior year, and I played a year at JUCO after.
Right.
However, having somebody that was there early on,
Right.
oh my goodness.
Somebody that could have told you, hey, you're going to get to junior, but that's about as far as you're going to get in basketball. You might want to put a little bit of this energy into school, or you might want to put a little energy into learning finances, or a little energy into learning real estate, or a little energy into learning XYZ instead of just 100. And I see that now. I see so many kids are focusing on one singular thing, and it's a huge mistake.
And I mean, because I look at my situation, if I would have had someone there coaching me, guiding me, even in basketball, I would have went and played D1 basketball and probably took the league.
Maybe so. That would have been great, you know?
And however, outside of that, though, I would have much more knowledge on the business end of it, on the money management portion of it, on and on and on and on. And it's not a knock to my mom or anything, to my mother. You know, but just like you said, people don't know what they don't know.
Right.
And having a support that would have been there to guide, and I mean, because even when I went into my adult, you know, work years, you know, grown up work years,
Right.
I went into the RV industry, and I remember like my third check, I was afraid, I was scared driving to the bank. I made it to the bank, and I was like, "Oh, I made it! I made it!" It was like $7,300, $7,500. Like my third check, I was like, "Oh, I made it! I made it! I made it!"
I worked at Jitney Jungle was the name of a grocery. It's still a grocery store brand. It's like a Vons or Albertsons here, right? And that's in the South. Jitney Jungle and Piggly Wiggly. I worked at Jitney Jungle. And I remember my paychecks being very, very, very small. And I thought, man, when I joined the Army, this is going to be great. And then when I got my first Army paycheck, I felt even worse than I was working at Piggly Wiggly or Pizza Hut as a high school student.
Oh, wow.
That's how much they gut you. Like, sure, you get free room and board.
Yeah.
You get the chow hall open. You get a barracks room. You get, you know, anything you
Was it really free?
No. You're paying for it. You're paying for it. But
Is it really free?
And all that stuff, it's like, wow, you get all this stuff. And, you know, I learned the hard way that it's not always rosy. You know, it's not always the same. It's still hard work and luck and all these other variables added to it. And like I say, real estate's no different than any other, I guess, any other venture or any other vertical that you go to in life. It's you alluded to, like, it takes preparation, right? If when the luck is there and the opportunity presents, you need to be at your best. So there's no arguing, like, if you're not preparing for it, you're gonna fail when the opportunity gets there. But
regardless,
again, you're talking about so many factors coming together at one point in time in life, and you have to be at your A game at that point in time.
Yeah,
you know, like. If you listen to some of Shaq's interviews and how he got so wealthy after the NBA and why he wasn't one of the pitfalls of other NBA stars and losing all his money, it's because he was at the right place at the right time.
Jerry Buss.
He overheard conversations, and that how got him into investing into Google. He overheard conversations that's got him investing in the Ring doorbell.
Magic.
Yeah, Magic.
Magic was Jerry Buss, not Shaq.
You're right. So, you know, he said he heard these conversations, and he's like, hey, wait a minute, I've got all this money. Hey, Reebok, same way. He overheard investments and overheard these things. And, hey, I got a lot of money. Let me get in with you.
Yeah,
know,
correct,
like, hey, but I'm going to do it.
How are these people
way.
managing their money?
That's right. That's how
they've been around for a little bit.
That's right. You got to learn to management. You don't. There's so much knowledge in this world. You can't expect to know everything. It's impossible.
Yeah.
Impossible to know everything. Our brain just does not. The less than 1/10% of 1% of people in the world that has the gift of being smart, as smart can be.
Yeah.
You can't expect to be at that level. The rest of us are just in the mix of everybody else. We're swimming in the same pond, going after the same fish. You know, how do you differentiate yourself between being the person that you want to portray to the customer? Say, hey, I'm that person, right? Like, I'm stop searching for all these ding dongs, right? Stop listening to all the same marketing pitches. Stop listening to all these same people. They're telling you the same thing. Go to that person that's telling you the different story, the real numbers, the math. You want the person that's going through the math, the numbers, the percentages, the variables, the what ifs,
seek those that are doing something different,
right? Like, hey, listen, customer, I understand that you do not like 6% real estate commissions, but if I show you on paper that even if I can do 7% real estate commissions and make you $50,000 more, wouldn't you take that bet? Instead of trying to knock me down and make me do less, don't you want to incentivize me to do more to make you more? Doesn't that make more sense?
Because you definitely don't want to incentivize me to do less.
Exactly. And don't you think that if I am successful in doing this, don't you think I deserve to be compensated and deserve a cut of that I gave you? Like, you wouldn't have had this extra $70,000 if it wasn't for me and my strategy that I sat down at your kitchen table and told you about.
Yeah.
That I said, hey, I'll be the last interview of all other agents that you interview because I'm telling you, I know numbers, and I'm telling you right now that you're wasting your time with those 4 other agents because the only thing they said was, I'm going to take marketing photos and I'm going to have a, whatever you call those stupid things, flying above your house.
And I'm going to do it for a discount.
And I'm going to do a discount. Who does that? Does your car dealership tell you they're going to do it at a discount? No, they're going to tell you to go pound sand and go to the next car dealership and buy your stupid Charger because we're not taking $10,000 off this Charger.
Go buy your stupid Charger.
No business. But that's the point of the population and in real estate in general is there's such a low barrier to entry that you have so many yahoos that are real estate agents that have no concept of math, finances, basic history. And
basic history
and understand why we're in the scenario that we're in and any of that stuff. They don't know how to present it, and they don't know how to negotiate. They do the same thing, and it says the majority of agents are going to do the same. They're going to post the same things to the MLS. Third-party companies are going to take the information to MLS and make it their own, Zillow's, Trulia's, and all the other things.
Correct.
And the customer's going, wow, I'm all over this place, and wow, you did such a hard work. And I'm like, no, I didn't. I spent 5 minutes on my underwear on my computer at home, and I entered the information that I got from the tax assessor's office and from you in your own mouth. I put it in this little database that's already created for me that I paid $1,000 a year to access, and I did it all in my underwear, and I did no work. I absolutely did nothing of value to your deal.
Absolutely. Which is exactly the reason why Open Table is
and that's most of real estate
coming in to steal your lunch.
That's right, because most of the people that are getting the real estate are the negotiators. That's why you have investment companies that come in and they can take up all these properties because the people they have representing them are numbers people.
Yeah,
they can present numbers to homeowners, and unless you're.
That's a big thing that's going on right now, right?
That's a big thing. A lot of investment companies like BlackRock and stuff are buying up,
coming up, and just cleaning up.
Right, and why?
They turn everybody into renters.
Yeah, of course. That's what they want.
Because they're not reselling.
Because it's income. Yeah, they don't need to. One is because now they have that valuation in their books. Now they can say, hey, I am worth $52 billion because here are all my assets. And I'm making a little bit of residual income from all this to line my. That's like a subscription, right? See, like a lot of companies, they base their revenue on subscriptions, YouTubers and things like that.
Correct.
It isn't the content so much; it's the amount of people you get to subscribe to pay $20 a month. The more of those 20s you get every month, the more money you have every month.
The higher your evaluation is.
It's as simple as that.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do everything they can to get.
And then they create their own comps, so they can go ask for more money based off of the comps that they create.
Comparables it's not magic. Anybody and their brother can do a comparable because the numbers are right in front of you.
Correct.
Every realtor and every assessor has the same database, and they make the same judgments off the same numbers. Assessors are usually about 1% to 2% different from real estate agents, plus or minus. So it's kind of a wash.
which is
There's
all
kind of a checks and balances to the real estate market.
And those differences are only like subjective opinions.
Depending on the market, it can be subject. I mean, 1% in a $100,000 house in Alabama versus 1 or 2% on a $3-4 million house in LA County. Yeah, big difference.
I mean,
right?
There's a big difference there.
Subjective to the buyer.
I mean, but the percentage is still the percentage.
Percentage still the percentage, but it all is the valuation of who's buying and selling.
Right.
What's what they value, right? Big corporations, they don't care so much. They just care about market share. They want
portfolio base.
Portfolio base. The small time investor, they're more looking at the return of investment because they have more meat in the game, more skin in the game. They have more to lose than a big corporation, right? And they have less money to spend in the environment to acquire. So every one of those properties is very, 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 very big. But then again, like I said, the bar to entry into real estate is so low that you have a very small number of winners and a very large pool of losers.
Huge.
Very huge. Huge. And that's why I try to convey to customers all the time is the heyday of COVID where you just list something and it's sold because the demand outpaces your value.
Absolutely.
Right? Is now people see realtors as irrelevant because their mind is stuck on, oh, I saw at one time 20 people lined around this house and more people trying to get into that line just to see this house for the opportunity to bid on this house to maybe get it.
Absolutely.
That time is gone. It could come back because once that.
Do we even have many FSBOs now?
I think active in LA County was around 20, 30 or so, I think, this month, if that. I think it's a lot less. And that's just because of the supply and demand of housing right now. There's just not much on the market right now because the last quarter of last year, everybody was thinking they heard the drop of the dime. Oh, interest rates are going to drop 3 times next year. The election cycle's coming up. But what have we seen so far this year in interest rates? I haven't seen that magical drop, but everybody's looking to get into the market and to purchase because now we're in a scenario of the population has less of a chance to even afford a mortgage into a home.
Do you think that we are on the legs of almost I'm speaking maybe possibly like in this decade or even half a decade. I don't even think it'll take a decade, but in this half a decade that we are entering right now of this may be around the last ish time that like regular society would be able to afford a house.
Well, some people say that. Some people say wait until the millennials take over and the baby boomer and the boomer rush and that transfer of wealth happens. And once that happens, the real estate market is going to go haywire again. I can't see the future any more than anybody else can see the future. I wish that the market was affordable for everybody. And that's my honest truth, right? Is I don't think that housing market should be leveraged for wealth. Because everybody needs a place to live. Your home is the most important thing in society. Having a stable home is, I can't cite all the research papers, but research says that kids that are in a stable environment in a home that is not moved around with the 2 parents, right, a mom and a dad in the home, their chances for success is
they have a much higher odds of better outcome.
Anybody else that is moving around or has an unstable home or any of that stuff, and that not just based on economics of real estate. That's also based on economics of jobs. If you don't have opportunity around, look at Detroit, right? Look at those areas in the north, car manufacturing, Fords and GMCs and all the plants they had that now they're in Mexico and portion of other places. What did those places look like when all those jobs were there? And we're not talking. Well, we can talk about race, but black and brown and people in those times were more prosperous than they are now because they had opportunities for employment. There was more reason for them to be at home because they had a job.
Yeah.
Now there's no jobs. There's no reason for people to stay together. There's so much fighting and animosity in the home right now because of finances and opportunities and now laws that, allow women to take the men to the ringer and blah, blah, blah. And it's like now we're in an environment where men don't want to be in relationships or be married and they don't want to be in these things because they know the government is going to take them to the ringer. And
Well, you don't even have to be married now.
You don't have to be married now. Exactly. What
You can still get washed up.
Yeah,
You can still get washed up. Not even
marriage
married.
now has been so washed and diluted now that people don't even look at marriage the same anymore as in the 40s, 50s, and
A lot of people.
A lot of people.
I don't.
I mean, if you listen to somebody like Thomas Sowell, right? He's a conservative. But if you listen to him, how he grew up in the Bronx and things like I grew up in the parts of Depression. I never heard a gunshot. I didn't have to worry about my grandparents walking down the street and being robbed and mugged. I didn't have to worry about XYZ. Sure, you had some law enforcement, right? You had all those society things, right?
Yeah.
So prevalent, but it was nothing in comparison to being afraid of your grandkids stealing your car and shooting up your house and drive-bys and running drugs through your neighborhoods and doing all this stuff. It was nowhere near the same.
Yeah.
People felt that they could be free. They can live a life. That they can, set roots in a place and have a home. But now you're not fighting society. You kind of are. You're fighting the government and people's.
But it's building a battle within the home as well.
Yeah, it's causing. Me personally, I bought 7 years ago. I'm loving my home evaluation now and equity, right? And I got lucky and I bought at the right time in the right neighborhood and I'm reaping the benefits for it.
Yeah.
But there are a lot of people that aren't.
But you
lucky.
but keeping in mind, I think you have to add as well to that is that you bought when you needed to buy or when you were ready to buy. It wasn't like, oh, I'm waiting for this special time because it's going to be the best time.
I didn't wait. At that time, things were evaluating higher. The price was going up, and I was like, the bar for my entry is about to pass, and I need to hurry up. And thankfully, as a veteran, I was able to use a VA loan, so I didn't have money at that time. My wife and I just got married, and we moved from Texas to California, so we didn't have a lot of disposable income. It was like, you want me to put how much on a $500,000 house? What? At that time, signing a mortgage for that amount of money in my mind growing up was like impossible.
Yeah,
like I was looking at.
It's almost like we made it.
Not even that. It was.
Because you still had to struggle.
No, it was like I can't believe we have to buy this in order to live here. Like we have to work and have this lifestyle in order to stay at work.
And what is your house appraised for now?
So I bought it in at $535 and now we're appraised a little over $900. And our neighborhood is going to go up past $1 million because of supply and demand. And it's not something that I've done myself. It's just
that's wild.
I just saw where I was living at the time we were looking.
Incomes have shifted where?
What's that?
And incomes have shifted from then to now.
It's hard. I don't know labor statistics, but I can just look and see you can be millionaires younger now because of social media.
Okay.
And where you're at in Southern California is so much. Here, I would say, is probably the easiest place to be a millionaire.
You think so?
Because of supply and demand of the industries that are here.
Yeah.
TV, media.
Majority of the stuff is digital, though.
Of course, but you can be multi-million. Look at digital is the way to go, though.
Yeah, correct. So you don't necessarily need to be here.
No, but the root of it is here.
Okay,
the roots of all that stuff are here in Southern California. There's no other place in the world that has had dynamics. So, minus New York, the roots of Southern California and the digital industry that's where the roots are. They're right here.
I got you.
Entrepreneurship and all those tech startup companies are Southern California.
Yeah. To touch on something that you said a few lines ago, I heard someone mention about that there's a scientific that there's real numbers that constitute very successful individuals, and they tie it into that this person has had a level of trauma while having a level of some type of vision to make it through.
Yep. You have to understand causation, and you have to understand that risk and be willing to play the game of risk. That's every entrepreneur out there. Every entrepreneur.
So somebody being put in a tough situation and having some type of help or guidance to allow them to make it through. Not even allow them, but to guide them to make it through. So going into a forest and then actually making it out a little bit.
Well, there are a lot of variables of it, and that's the individual person, right? I can have somebody that's very smart in business and they can just make it into business no matter where they go. They can have somebody that needs a lot of coaching right? They don't understand business and they don't care to, but they have the coaching and that whatever that aspect to get them through. Or you have a person that's very smart and they can do all this stuff and they just never can make it. And that's just the way it is, because that's why I always say there's luck. There's an opportunity that comes around and you have to be ready at that time. And many people have those opportunities that come through their life. They just don't see them either.
Yeah.
And they don't know that it's an opportunity. That's why I say it's a lot of luck involved in life.
Okay, so the luck part is the sun, the moon, and all the stars being aligned together. So it's just all of these variables and factors actually coming together.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it takes other people. You can't do it yourself. There has to be some outside people that are in that circle to help you out. You're not. Steve Jobs didn't build Apple by himself.
100%.
But he was smart.
Absolutely.
Right, and he
wasn't even the first smartphone either.
He understood that it wasn't his brain that was getting there. It was other people's. It was his team. Yeah. So what he would do is he would take throughout every day, he would touch people on their shoulder, and he would pick out 100. He would do this daily, but his metric was monthly. Every month he would touch 100 people in his business, and these were the 100 people that he knew that could carry him if this business failed, that he could start another business. So he would take, and then every quarter he would take people. He would take these people to a conference, right? And he would take the 100 top people to a conference, and he would say, "Okay, I want to do X, Y, Z. I want to bring this company to the next level. What do we need to do? Oh, we need to do this. We need to do this." He would take all these ideas, and he'd write the top 10 of all these ideas. Then from the top 10, he'd say, "We're going to do this, this, and this." Now you have a populace of top people that have bought into a system that is ready, that is trained, that is motivated. They have like an aquarium around them, and they're focused on an objective, maybe for themselves, because maybe their idea that they pitched got accepted. But that one person on top is the one that's taking all the accolades and the failures for all this stuff. But he was smart because he used all the people for what they're intended to do, was to grow and build the business. He couldn't do it by himself. He can say, "Hey guys, we're gonna make this little iPad or iPod, and we're gonna turn this into a phone that you can talk into." And people would have been like, "What? You're crazy. We're not doing all this."
Eat it.
But if you take the top people and you say, "Hey, what can we do to be better?" Now it's use your ideas to be better. Now you have all the people invested, and that's what he did.
So that's like the ultimate coach.
He got the people involved and invested, and that's the ultimate coach. That's not even that. That's the ultimate entrepreneur. That's the ultimate CEO. That's what a leader is supposed to do. Not a boss. That's a leader.
So that's
your ideas and helps you explore them.
So that's on the lines of having strong individuals, letting them be a part of the whole plan,
right?
Letting them be a part of what it's going to take to get there,
right?
And basically, not even using them. I don't want to say using them, because it's not using them. It's almost letting them kind of take
control of their own destiny. You either take control of your own destiny and show your value to my company, right, and show me that you can do something, or you're out. That's like the Wolf of Wall Street phenomenon, right? Is either you hack it or you get out. There's no in between. You hear, you do what I tell you, you hack it, you make money. If you don't, get out. And there's no ifs, and a buts. I don't care what your problems are. I don't care what your mama says. I don't care what your baby mama is telling you. I don't care if you missed your lunch today. I don't care if your stupid fishbowl is on your stand and he's cleaned. Get it or get out.
Hey,
That's the simplicity of it.
Hey,
you either cut it or you not cut it.
He did eat the fish.
I know.
He did.
It was excellent. But it was the message that you send to everybody else. Like, we don't have time for all that. It's the type of business you want to build. You want to eat.
There's a bigger picture.
It's a bigger picture.
There's a bigger picture.
You want to eat all the other little fish, then you got to be this fish. And if you're not going to be that fish, then get out. Simple as that. And I wish real estate was the same way. I wish there was a little bit more push to say, no, you need to be higher educated. You need to meet other metrics. You need to have a better understanding of numbers. You need to have a better understanding of dealing with people. You need to have a better understanding of laws.
Now, with success and people that are on their journey, people trying to get there, there's a group of people that make it with a partner, and then there's a group of people that make it single.
Of course.
So the question is, single or in a relationship?
It's again, life is luck. It's you can build empires with a partner, or you can die with a partner. Partner can mess you up, or the partner can be successful. No difference than you as an individual making the wrong decision or the right decision. I can view several things in life that I would like to do just on myself and not have a partner. And I can think of a lot of things that I would love to have a partner with. Again, life is luck, and it's that linear line. There's two things they're known in life. You're born and you're going to die. My grandpa passed about 5 months ago.
Grandpa?
My grandpa did. And I didn't have a good relation. Not that I didn't have I didn't have a relationship with my grandparents because of my mom and her life and blah blah blah.
Because of her relationship with them.
Because of hers, right? So I didn't have one, and I remember sitting in the hospital, and my grandfather was going through his last moments of life, and I was just thinking, I was like, man, I'm looking at my grandpa on this stage, right? It doesn't even look the same. I've been in the house already and looking at family photos years back, and then I'm looking at my grandfather on his deathbed. I'm like, man, it's just wild. And I'm thinking, like, what did he work for all of his life? What is he enjoying right now? Like, what did it all lead up to? Like, he'd been through probably 3 years before he was in the bed of his life was basically over, right? Like, he wasn't enjoying life. He wasn't enjoying money and fruits. He wasn't doing anything. He wasn't, right? Like, what is life after that? Like, what are you working for all your life? Are you working to attain something and then all of a sudden life starts? Like, for those that think, like, my success is
the way that you worded that is very interesting, though.
Well, I mean, it's the truth.
Because a lot of people, and I don't blame the people. I blame almost like the system per se.
There's a lot to that as well because it's a machine, right? It's just you're like kid. I feel sorry for kids nowadays that have so much information in front of them that they have to try to figure so much influence out that's around them. Like, I'm thinking of my life, and if I had that much influence around me and that many decisions, try to think about which way to go, like,
fuck, dude.
Wow, like I couldn't. Like, I only had like 2 or 3 options as a kid, and it's like the normal fantasy options. You want to be a veterinarian, you want to be a doctor, you want to be a lawyer, or you want to be a band teacher. That was it. Even the California, like I didn't know California except for magazines and stuff, right? Like you didn't know any of this stuff. Like you just didn't.
Yeah.
Your perception of life and your perception of value and your perception of happiness, for me, can be completely different than somebody that's growing up in Washington or New York or Canada or Mexico or anywhere you want to put into that map. Yeah. Is going to be different. But if you put all those people under the machine that you're saying and have all those influences, then you're going to have a lot of difference
all over.
Everybody's going to say so many different things. Like, what do you track down? But I've learned that life is super fast. As a kid, it's super slow. But once you get to that plateau, then you realize, oh crap, these days are fast. And every day that I get up, it's a little bit harder on my back and a little bit harder on my hips, or it takes me a little bit longer to get out of bed, or I felt that little pop or creak. And then I'm realizing,
I had physical therapy this morning.
Yeah. See what I mean? Like, now what is it? Is it money that's your influence and happiness? I learned that family is the ultimate, but that's me. Not everybody is. Some people will only be motivated by money until the day they die. The point is you can't say it's one thing because there's so many variables out there. We're humans. We're so different. Like we can't. You can't say that we can't judge everybody, like I said earlier. You can't say that, we're going to be homogenous and we're all going to get together. No, it's never. You and me are different people. We have different, but that doesn't mean we can't get along together and share a drink and have a conversation and be great and be happy. But if we dug into each other's past and little intricacies and things that we've done in life, we'd probably look at each other and go, man, you're pretty crappy. Man, you're pretty crappy. But now, as we look at each other, we're like, man, we're best friends. We're having drinks. We're on the camera. We're on the microphone. We're having a great time.
Yeah.
If Did
we just become best friends?
Right, exactly. I love the movie. But that's the problem with society now is we're so quick to judge and criticize people of mistakes and past discrepancies and whatever we had in our life at that time.
So if people pay more attention to what the experience was that somebody experienced or traveled instead of what the result was
I think
that transpired.
I think people should start paying attention more of what, like, I look at people now not based on what their past. I look at people at what they're excelling for in the future. If I look at you and I think, oh, you're the money person, me personally, you're not my style. I'm looking at more of the person that's like the country style, that just my house, my land, my freedom, my getaway,
good old values, just a good old
bonfire in the backyard, a case of Budweiser, and a fishing boat. You know, I'm happy, and I tell my wife all the
grill
time,
and some fire.
as soon as I buy my boat and I'm going on my lake and I'm out fishing, and when I'm back in that zone, I'm gonna be the happiest person on the planet. But everybody's stick is different. You can't expect everybody to be the same. I would never expect society to be the same. That's crazy. We're all the individuals. We're so different, you know. It's just how we grew up and the country we're in and the opportunities we have. We're just individual, and I learned to appreciate that and learn from people. They're just different, you know, and I learned to appreciate that. I don't knock people because they're poor and they're from different. I don't knock people because they made stupid decisions, because I made stupid decisions. And embarrassing ones at that, you know. If I laid everything
Everybody
on the table,
has.
I'd be embarrassed about some of the stupid stuff I said. But the point is, everybody does it. We're not immune to stupidity and mistakes. We all make it. So stop being so critical on everybody and thinking that your life is so much better than everybody else's because you see somebody fail. Don't chop their head off because they fail. They failed because either they made a dumb mistake or they tried something and they failed. Like, that's why I said earlier about teaching my kids, like, I want my son to learn that I want to know what you failed at, because that shows me you're trying.
Correct.
And I learned that not from myself, but I learned that from somebody else. Another coach said that's what they learned is, I want to see failures. You know, if my kids are, if I'm in a group and everybody is just peaches and rainbows, I know I'm in a fake group. I know I'm in a group that is not looking after me, or is not a group that's trying to succeed. I know I'm with a bunch of fake people. They're just telling me rainbows and fantasy.
They're just putting on this little mask.
Right, and that's not helping me. That's hurting me, because now I'm in an environment that are
That's not helping nobody. That's not even helping them.
I want to be critical. I want somebody to be critical to me. I want somebody to tell me, "Hey, that shirt looks stupid. Don't wear that, please." I'm not being hurtful, but you're gonna be made fun
And I'm the type of person. I'm like, thank you.
Yep.
I'm like,
Thanks for saving my life.
right? I'm sitting there like, thank you, dude.
Like, I know people that are opposite of that. They if you tell somebody, "Hey, your hair's out of place," they're gonna melt down. And that is what I fear society is right now. They're so afraid.
Oh, so many of them.
Like, you just if you tell somebody, those shoes, man, I don't know. Maybe not in this environment, but the next environment, yeah. Then you're going to have the other crowd of people saying, "Oh, don't tell somebody, let them be, let them live their life, let them blah, blah, blah." And I'm like, well, if I let everybody walk to a fire pit and get burned up, then who am I?
Absolutely.
And I'm not that person.
Then you have something bad to say about me, right?
Exactly. And I've never been that person, because I learned at a young age in life that life is very, very, very hard. And that if you don't be true, if you don't be a good person, then you're just, no matter whatever else happens, right? I mean, you can be a crappy person and meet crappy people and still be successful, because
it happens.
A lot of evil in the world, and evil still makes good stuff.
Yep.
It's like I said, I mean, you can't steer one way or the other, and unfortunately, that's just life, man. That's just how it is. That's why I said
the people that want to travel the journey solo or single, right? Because
more power to you. Have fun.
Yeah.
But if you get to the later stages of life and you realize that you don't have what everybody else has, you don't have grandkids, you realize what I said about my grandpa was basically that when I get to my deathbed, I want to have family around. It's it's sad. It's sad to hear the last breaths of a person and knowing that all your life amounts to just those few minutes left in life. The last breaths of your life, which it's a very horrible sound, by the way, of the gurgling of people's last breaths. It's a horrible sound. But when you hear it and you're there, and you realize that you're all alone, that's got to be worse than anything that you've done through life. Because then it's gone. And then what else is life? Life is gone. It's gone. It's a closed book. Lights out, done. No going back. I don't care what you believe in. You're not coming back. Your body isn't there. You're not coming back to see Aunt Betty that made apple pies, 10 years ago that you loved and you remember every Christmas. They're gone. And that legacy in your family's gone. That you can't. It's gone. Once you're at that stage of life, who do you have left? Like, if I'm raising my son right now, and I always think about it, it's like, man, I hope my son understands that I'm my heart and soul is for him, like to a point, right? Like,
of course.
He's himself. I'm still taking care of myself,
Of course.
I hope with all my passion that my son is there with me when I pass. I pray every day when I see him. I was like, man, I hope you have the strength and the courage to be there with me because I'm going to need it when I want you to be there. That's the whole reason you're here, son, is to pass on, to give you life. And when I'm leaving, hopefully you're there and you're saying, Dad, thank you.
Yeah.
If I don't get that, then what is life?
Yeah.
Like, money, it's irrelevant. There's no money there. So what? You have enough money to buy a nursing home? So what? You have enough money to have a house, but who's going to take care of you? If you didn't build a family at the same time, what is there? Your friends aren't going to be there. I guarantee you that. I saw it many times. Friends don't go to funerals. Friends don't go to your last days at the hospital. It's too hard. Friends don't go there. Only your hardcore family. Family that either love you or family that wants your inheritance. And I learned that the hard way too. So you got to watch out for the vultures. But for the most part, when I'm at that end and I'm thinking about life, I'm thinking about family and the happiness. The money and trying to get to buy my truck at the parking lot or the house that I want. That's irrelevant. I'm happy in a dirt house and in a bare field out somewhere, because I have what ultimately matters is family. And that's what I think is a lot of people lose out. And even this generation now, they're so disconnected from family because they think, oh, my parents grew up in the 90s or my parents grew up in the 80s and I'm like, what are you talking about? That's family's everything. People diss the MAGA stuff and people diss the whole, bring back the country stuff. But I think that's important because we've lost that 4th of July barbecue feeling, right?
Yeah.
That sense of family and comradeship, we've lost that. And like you said, what's the difference between going to solo and versus family? Well,
because everybody's chasing, man.
It's your heart, yeah. It's. I think that passion changes once you have family, and I think the single people learn that once they have family, and I think family people learn that when they're single and they lose it all. That like, oh wow, now what have I got? I got to rebuild all this stuff again, and time is very short.
That part goes fast too.
Super fast. It's beyond fast. And some people don't make it back. Like once you lose it, divorce, kids go away, and once you go, that's gone. Once it's it, that's it. Yeah. And you lose.
Because that's what people have told us, and that's what people have shared with us, is that this is the last day that they will be this age, and more than likely doing some of these things. Yeah, it's the last time, so you better find a way to enjoy it.
Yeah, like I hope my family says, man, Ben did great. He led a great life. He was successful. Blah, blah, blah. We love them, and thanks for all the contributions to the family. I hope people say that at my deathbed. I hope people say that when it's my time to leave this earth. I hope, but, I just don't know. It's just family, you can't. When you grow up with family that's so horrible and you strive to get it and you get it, like, you don't want it to go away. Like, it's just like.
Of course, yeah.
It's so strong. Like now I look at things in life that I would look differently in my 20s or 18s. Even though I want a family then, I look at it completely different. That's why I agree with some people that say about changing the age of voting and changing the age of a lot of things because mentally, like 18-year-old, I was dumb as a rock. Like, you could have told me that Jesus was purple and I'd have been like, plausible. Why not?
Why not? Yeah.
I would have said, why not? But, as you get older and you have a little more life, experience in life, then you learn.
Yeah.
You learn to see what's BS and what's not BS. You learn the actors and the wolves in life. You learn, hopefully.
Of course.
Through mistakes, trials, tribulations, or a good coach that's got you under the wing, you know. I hope you learn that stuff. But
yeah,
this again, like I said, life is very hard, and it's a lot of luck to it, and you got to be at the right place. Hopefully, you're prepared. You know, maybe you'll stumble through it when you get the opportunity, but not everybody gets the opportunity. And this whole equitable crap is just that. It's crap because nobody owes you anything. Nothing's guaranteed. And you know, when we get back to real estate, that's kind of my stick with real estate is I kind of agree with people when they come to real estate is because the home is and the family is the nucleus is so important in society that we see what happens when we lose the husband and wife and the family.
Yeah.
Now everything erodes. What happens when you take the houses away from people? It erodes even worse.
Absolutely.
Like
because there's zero foundation.
We're multiplicative. It's worse to a multiplier, not an additive, and that's even more detrimental to society. And who knows the effects we're going to see in 15, 20 years from now and what society is going to be like. Because if we're just now at the crest of people are unable to afford a basic house, what's it going to be like in 10 years? Is it going to be better? Now, are we going to go back into, hey, equity is here and now people are paid, you know, to what the housing market can bear, and now we're all making $120 an hour, and houses are $2 million a piece, and now our bar to entry is still we can't afford to put
the gap will still be the gap.
3 to 20% down on a house. Like the gap is still a gap.
The gap will still be the gap.
How do you change it though? And that's the magic question. Is I don't think is going to be answered until we focus on the home. Is making sure that we understand as a society that if you don't have a concrete home to grow a family and to have a strong family, that the husband and a wife or man and woman or whatever floats your boat, if that structure is not there, then you're building a house on a sand lot and it's going to fall, and that's the domino effect. If you have a society that can't afford a house, and how good do you think they're going to be when they come to work? How productive are they going to? How much value are they adding to your business if they're struggling to pay mortgage or pay their rent or buy groceries and all that stuff? It isn't their employer's job to pay them more because it's still based on value of what you're providing the company. You shouldn't be able to have to force a company to pay more and to take that burden because government is doing what government does, taking everything from you. It shouldn't be on the business owners. That's not fair. Because I've started multiple small businesses, and 2 of them in California, and it's extremely expensive. I mean, to start people out at $15 to $20 an hour and to have that capital with you to fund that, what? That's insane. Like EMTs make basic money. You tell me that a person at McDonald's deserves $15 to $20 an hour to sit in a line to make things that have already been automated to the T, like detailed out line, like you do X, Y, Z, put your gloves on, make here, put your pun down here in the top here, blah, blah, blah. What are you adding to McDonald's? Nothing. You're just a person that's doing a basic menial job. You're not.
That's the reason why robots are taking over that.
Yeah. I mean, I went to one in Santa Clarita where it has a kiosk. There's several of them in L.A. in Southern California. It's all kiosk. You just have the people in the back now in the kitchen, one person in the front roving, and then one person in the restaurant area wiping down tables and doing that stuff. You just effectively reduced your overhead by at least 50%. And then your payroll and everything. Of course, you have to invest in the technology now and all that and the maintenance. Yeah. But the overhead of payroll taxes, I mean, that in itself is crippling for small businesses in California. Payroll taxes are insane.
Yeah, man. Insane. Well, man.
Life. We talk about real estate, but, it's the nucleus of life is being able to start a life. And if you don't have a home to do that, you don't have much to stand on. Now we're back to the primitive ages. Now we are back to picking up shields and swords and killing each other to take over land to start what we started again. Now we're back to square one. We're fighting for stuff. We're going to start taking stuff. That's what's going to happen. Population is growing at a pace that's far outreaches construction, right? Yeah. And that's been known for years, since 60s, 70s, right? When it really slowed down. And California exacerbated that by all their legislation and making sure that, we have to build to earthquake code. We have to build to fire code. We have to build to this code and to that code to that code. Well, it just makes houses more expensive.
Makes everything more expensive.
Yeah.
It makes everything more expensive.
If you raise the cost of fuel because you shut down all the refineries in California, what runs everything? Diesel. If you don't have 18-wheelers, you don't have the machines that mine the materials necessary to build things, or to get the lumber, to cut the trees down to build the houses and all the other stuff, to pump the oil that makes all the plastics that you use, for all the water bottles that drink out of, for all the stuff that you use, your phones and everything else. What do you have left? Now we're back to societies where we're fighting and killing each other over just a house. A house. How crazy is this? Are we in?
Man.
How crazy are we? I think it's sad that we are, and I'm guilty of it myself, is that we put on a pedestal a video that we see 20 to 30 people surrounding a house in a heyday just to have the opportunity to bid on the house. We're glorifying that aspect, and we're promoting that as, hey, look how great real estate is.
Yeah.
To me, that's not how great real estate. To me, that's a detriment of real estate. To me, that shows that we're hurting as a society if we're glorifying that we have 100 people trying to buy one house, and look at all these people, look at all these suckers trying to buy a house, and only one of you getting it. And it may not even be one of you. It's probably a corporation coming in that's paying all cash and with no contingencies and no nothing. Just say, hey, I'll take it, whatever it is, just give me.
I'll take it. What's the number?
What is it? Not even the number. Here's the number I'm going to give you. Oh, that's not enough? I'll give you 20 grand more. Oh, that's not enough? What's the number? Give me the number. Whatever it is. And obviously in real estate, we can't give you that number as buyer agents, seller agents. We don't collude with that. Hopefully.
Supposedly.
But we know it happens. It's obvious that you can't, But again, the seller has the option of taking a contract or not and selling it for whatever they want to. So if you tell a seller they can't sell a house for a certain amount, then you just lose the house freedom. You lose your freedom of contracting and your property. And now we come back to the basics at the beginning. And see what I mean, man? It's just, it's a beast. Like, what do you do? What do? You can't regulate it.
Man.
The only thing that you can do is be a leader. And that's what we miss in this country, is a leader, right? And we looked at business, right? We looked at leaders that like Jobs and Steve Jobs and all this stuff, and how they used people or got people to military, how they get together as a formation and makes things happen. Real estate's the same way. We have to have leaders that actually care. They're not lining their pockets, and the people that are lining their pockets from other corporations, lobbyists should, one, be outlawed, but they're not going to outlaw it. Why? Because Congress, people that leave Congress go right to lobbyists. They go right into that field and making money, because in reality, naturally, humans, we're going to do what we need to do to survive, and that's all that they're doing. They're just doing what they need to do to survive because they have the lucky opportunity to be where they're at, and they're taking full advantage of it. Why? Look at. Okay, I hate to be political, but look at politicians that have been in politics all their life. What makes them good politicians? None. No, there's no standard to being a good politician. A politician should be of the people, by the people, for the people, duly elected, of the people to represent the people. Not your own interest. It's a selfless service of being in a public service, right? You shouldn't be there for yourself and your own enrichment. You should be there for everybody else, and not being a puppet to say, hey, I'm going to give you all this free stuff to elect me, because if I'm elected, I'm going to stay in this position and keep the salary for life and all the benefits. It should be, hey, I'm only here for 4 years. What can I do to make you guys better? Period. I'm out. 4 years, I'm going back to normal life, and I'm not going to be in politics anymore. But while I'm here, what can I do to help you out? What can I do to make society better, or get the government out of your hair, or make you more money? But no, this is what I'm saying is the rich stay rich because money is power. Like, you can't, once you have it, once you have the taste of it, once you're at that level, are you going to leave it? No.
Yeah, man, you're not.
Do everything you can to keep it.
You're not.
And that's the divide we have right now. And that's why you have everybody trying to get there more than any other generation, in my opinion. And then you have the amount of rich people now are more than any in our history and lifetime. Like, the success in America is more than any lifetime recorded in history. I mean, if you look back at the success of Egyptians, I guess, right, or Greeks or any other civilizations of lifetime, right? if you look and see their success through their
Egyptians.
times of rising and being in power, right? You say, "Oh, that's very successful," and that's why you have drops or dips and highs and lows and success in societies. Is well, famous ones they die. You can't let America at some point is not going to survive. America at some point is going to melt, and it's going to be the same as the Greeks and same as the Egyptians and same as everybody else. It's going to go, and it's going to be a forgotten time.
At some point, it has to wash over.
So it will wash over. There's no, it will wash over, and that's because greed. That's because the sensation of the money. Look what happened. Look what happened when everybody's like, I want all the gold. Bring me all the gold. And what happens when you give it to one person? Everybody else is jealous. Everybody else wants some of it because now it's valuable. We're humans, man. It's just the human nature. It's just we all want what somebody else has. Not everybody, but for the most part, we all want what somebody else has, and real estate is no different. You see somebody with a nice house, you want that house because you're like, oh, wow, I can see myself there. I could build if you don't build a family there, I could see myself there. I could build a pool, whatever. Everybody's looking at that. Everybody, even the haves-nots are looking at you. Like, I think during COVID, like even in South LA, look at all the apartment complexes. Atrocious, right? Because with the economy, people that are living in housing or in apartments typically have roommates. And even in single-family homes built in the 60s, a lot of them didn't even have driveways in L.A. You parked on the street because you didn't need driveways. The population was so low. You had the husband or the man in the house that went out to work, and the wife stayed home and raised the kids.
Whatever you parked on the street.
And you just needed that one little spot right there in front of the street, and blah, blah, blah. It isn't that way anymore. Now you have 2 families, 3 families, you got your grandkids, you got your grandparents, you got your aunts and uncles all living with you in an apartment, and now you have all those vehicles. Look at the apartment complexes during COVID. How many cars were parked on the streets and in the complexes just surrounding the places? Like, you couldn't find parking to save your life. Interstate's empty, all the parking spots gone.
But that's the case. That's the case now too, I think. So
that showed me right there the population in Southern California. COVID really opened my eyes to the amount of people that relied on multifamily or to be in an environment to rent a room out, to not have their own place to call home. That really opened my eyes in California. I learned.
Man.
Boom, bah.
Man, we can sit here and do this all day.
All day, I can go on.
Man, we can sit here and do this all day.
Very passionate about it.
Absolutely. Well, we here
wrapping it up,
and the community, I believe everybody has learned a lot, and I'm pretty sure that we'll do this again.
I hope so. Yeah, I enjoy it.
Absolutely. So we'll do this again. So I'm sure this isn't the last time that you guys are going to see Ben. And again, thank you guys so much here at the BluePrint Podcast with Mr. Ben Ortiz.
Great days.